Hello Miners fans, and welcome back to Herman Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska for the penultimate day of regular season action for your Mat-Su Miners. Today they'll be taking on the Anchorage Bucs for the final time in the regular season, but if things go according to plan, it may very well not be the last time here in this summer of 2024. What's going on? I'm Charlie Fellows as always, and I'll be joined during the game by a surprise celebrity guest. Who knows who it might be? A member of the Mat-Su Miners, but even I don't know yet. I'll find out as soon as they come into the press box with me, but until then it'll be just me hosting the pregame show, as I will be for the remainder of the season. And in case you didn't catch the action last time the Miners and Bucs took each other on, here's a highlight reel for you. Welcome back inside Herman Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska, where the quest for the #1 seed in the ABL is still alive and well. Between the two teams you will see face off here today. The Anchorage Bucs visiting, who currently occupy that spot, but they sit just a game and a half ahead of your Mat-Su Miners, who of course have won 11 in a row, and they have been gunning for that spot now for the better part of 2 weeks. Hello.
Being pretty centered on them. It's got to be
into left center field, going back on a curve. This is going to drop into the gap for an extra base hit. Rounding first, heading for second now is Max Ross. Now Brody Briggs is going to roll around and score. That is going to be an RBI double from Max Ross. Brody Briggs scoring all the way from first on that, and the Anchorage Bucs take a 1-0 lead. Looking to start a rally here. 1-1 on the ground to first base. Fielded, throwing on to Zan Rose, who will make the grab. Eisenstadt to Rose, that put out. And another 1-2-3 frame. Rose yet to allow a base runner against the Miners, but that's hit into right field. McCausland after it, and that will land down for a base hit. Tagging and scoring with ease is Brody Briggs. On to second again is Max Ross. He's got his second double of the day and his second run batted in. The Bucs have doubled their lead in the fourth.
So let's see if he mixes in a change.
Instead, he'll line it into the opposite field. One run is home. Holding up at third there was Will Burns. An RBI single with 2 outs. Cole Carlone gets it to a 3-0 lead for the Bucs, but Kellen Strohmeyer was able to keep them from doubling that advantage. Still a critical hit for Carlone, getting the better of Peterson on that occasion. The 0-2. Lined into left field, down for a base hit. That will score Will Burns with ease. Rounding second, heading for third is Carlone. Now he's going to try and score. Strohmeyer throwing home, and it will not reach in time. So a 2-out, 2-run double. Andrew Lamb, his second extra base hit of the day, and that is a crushing blow. 5-0 the score, with ahead in the score column 5-0. Peterson's first offering will get him to fly out into left center field. Strohmeyer and Kerr ranging on, and Kerr dove for it, and he didn't get it. That goes off the glove of the center fielder. So another double and another RBI. This time it's Ryan Callahan driving in run number 6 for the Bucs.
Only be, 5, 6, 7 hits.
Line through the right side. That is a base hit off the bat of Tommy Eisenstadt.
Big play at 4 here.
Rounding third, trying to score, and doing so is Ryan Callahan. The RBIs keep on coming. That is an RBI single by Eisenstadt. The Bucs have now officially batted around in the fourth, and 6 runs off of Ryan Peterson. The first time all season he has had a start like that, and the Miners now in a 7-run hole. It is looking all the more dire that their winning streak will continue. Cosland, a weak ground ball.
Oh, that's going to be a tough play there. That's going to be a bare hand.
Throws across,
and
that's into the dugout. Tripping and falling is Kyle McCausland.
We got Chase Wilcox coming around third.
Chase Wilcox in, and a 3-run double. Kyle McDoubles has delivered.
And there we are. We got a 7-3 ball game. We're back in this thing.
That's lined into left field, down for a base hit. Carlone into third. He's going to try and score. Strohmeyer throwing home, and that will be cut off. Nolan Murphy can't do anything with it. So Carlone comes home. The double does come back to bite Nolan Murphy. And the lead now 8-3. Right now, it's another full count. The payoff pitch. Nolan Murphy fires. Runners all go, and that misses just in the outside corner. He thought he had that pitch. His hands on his hips, confused about what went wrong. That is called ball 4 by the umpire. A bases loaded walk. Second straight one issued by Murphy. 9-3 now the score here in Palmer. Anywhere he hits it. The 1-2 swing and a miss. Down he goes. Arnett wins that battle. Strohmeyer down on strikes. And the Miners go relatively quietly in the bottom of the 6th. Still rocket out to right field. Going back on it, McCausland. And he will turn around and watch that go. Cole Carlone, a home run. He continues to terrorize the Miners. Right after that break, Nico Tomasello gives a run back, And double digits on the scoreboard for the Bucs. That was an absolute moonshot by the best power hitter in the ABL. Rummery popped him up on the infield. Now it's going into shallow left. Shortstop calls for it. Will Burns makes the grab. Out number 1. And the umpire signaling that this game, did they just call the game? They did. The game is over. The rain is picked up, and the umpires have decided that that is all the action for us today. That's a first for us in this season, 2024. So the comeback, unfortunately, was never meant to be. This is a final after 6 1/3 innings. The Mat-Su Miners fall by a score of 10-3. Well, obviously that game wasn't the most pleasant experience for really anybody involved, but especially for the Miners. And that did have ramifications in the schedule, as with a win yesterday against the Chinooks, the Anchorage Bucs have officially clinched the 1 seed in the Alaska Baseball League, thereby locking the Miners into the 2 seed. So both of these teams have no standings implications to play for here today. They're just trying to get one more win in the column as the regular season is coming to a close. Well, before the game, I got a chance to talk with Ryan Richard, who's the starting shortstop for the Miners today, about the transition between Louisiana and Alaska and so much more. Unfortunately, the audio did get a bit messed up during this interview, but you can still hear most of it, so here you go. Hi, Miners fans. What's going on? I'm here with today's starting shortstop, Ryan Richard. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm good. I'm great. Beautiful day today. We're in Alaska. I mean, there's nothing to complain about.
Absolutely. So you get the start today against the Anchorage Bucs. The last time these two teams meet in the regular season. What's it going to take for us to get the win today?
It's going to take our pitchers doing what they've done all year. They show, they compete, good defense, and then hitters just take good at bats. Whether that's hits, walks, just good at bats all day.
Talk about good defense. That's been a staple of the Miners all season long. The infield defense that you've been a part of. What's the journey of the infielders taken this season to be as great a defense as they have been lately?
I think Tyler Bassetti is really focused on the small things, getting back to the basics. Because we're all D1 baseball players, and we get away from the basics a little bit, but we're really focusing on it each day and mastering the basics.
You're from Louisiana. It doesn't take a genius to say that's pretty different from here. What's been the biggest adjustment since you've been here?
The views. The views are absolutely amazing. The weather when I first got here was a little cold, but nothing some sleeves can't fix. But the views have definitely been amazing.
What's the craziest thing you've done in Louisiana?
So we went down to Hatchet Pass and rode some four-wheelers through some rivers and up and out.
What's the thing you're looking to take back to Louisiana the rest of your college career?
Just the friendship and family that we've made this summer. I think this is one of the things it's awesome to say that was a
All right, absolutely. That's from the sentiment I share, so definitely good to hear. Ryan Richard, everybody, thanks so much for talking to me. Thank you. Back to you. Apologies again for the technical difficulties there with the microphones. We're going to get that fixed come playoff time, but it was great to talk with him, and he's clearly fired up, and so am I. So without further ado, we're going into our lineups for today. Starting off with the visiting Anchorage Bucs, Josh Hankins, the leadoff man at third base. Cole Carlone, the DH, had a home run last night. Ryan Callahan, the left fielder. Tommy Eisenstadt at first. Brody Briggs, the catcher. Will Burns, the shortstop. Riley Hunsaker out in center field. Brett Castillo, a new face for the Miners, will be out in center. In right, and the second baseman Rob Vandegrift, and Eli Lipinski making just his second start of the season against the Miners on the bump. For your home Mat-Su Miners, Chase Wilcox will be at the DH spot today. He'll lead off. Drake Kerr, the center fielder. Kellen Strohmeyer out in right, with Kyle McCausland getting his first off day of the entire season. Ryan Richard, as I said, the shortstop. Don Patrizzi at second. Christian Perez, the first baseman. Riker Scow out in left. Logan Vaughn, the catcher. Nick Bisacci at third. And Aiden Dolinsky will make his third start of the season after a great showing against the Chugiak Eagle River Chinooks last week, with a hope for the Miners to get one more win in the column against the Anchorage Bucs. Well, it's today, a doubleheader tomorrow, and then playoff time here in the Mat-Su, so I hope you'll stay with us all throughout the action coming up this weekend and hopefully beyond. But right now we've got a game coming up right after this, so I'll see you then. Mat-Su Miners, Anchorage Bucs, right after this break. The skies are clear, the fans are in attendance, and it's time to watch the Mat-Su Miners and the Anchorage Bucs square off one final time before the playoffs come around. Welcome inside Herman Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska. I'm Charlie Fellows, and I'm soon to be joined by a celebrity guest commentator, a member of the Mat-Su Miners, who you will find out the identity of shortly. But until then, welcome inside a beautiful day here in the Mat-Su Valley. The Miners and the Anchorage Bucs, the two top teams in the Alaska Baseball League. They have been all season. Currently, the Bucs lead the season series 5-4, but Mat-Su would love one last win in that head-to-head before the postseason gets underway. It'll be Aiden Dolinsky on the mound, making his third start of the season, facing off against a Bucs lineup consisting of Josh Hankins, Cole Carlone, Ryan Callahan, Tommy Eisenstadt, Brody Briggs, Will Burns, Riley Hunsaker, Brett Castillo, and Rob Vandegrift. A lineup full of terrifying names if you've been following the ABL all season. But the Miners have won 4 out of their last 5 against these Bucs, so their chances are high to win this one as well. The Anchorage Bucs played the Chugiaki Guerrero Chinooks yesterday in a doubleheader and split that, which means that coupled with 2 nights ago's loss by the Miners at the hands of the Bucs, Anchorage has officially clinched the top seed in the Alaska Baseball League, which thereby locks the Miners into the 2nd seed. They learned their opponent in the playoffs, which start on Saturday. We'll be talking about that over the course of the broadcast here today. But until then, we've still got 3 more games left to go in the regular season, the first of which is almost ready to get started. It'll be Aiden Dolinsky on the bump for Mat-Su, coming into today with 2 starts this season, a 5.06 ERA in 10 2/3 innings pitched, has allowed 6 earned runs, 6 walks, 8 strikeouts over the course of his season so far. And here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Rocco Bernardino, returns to the booth for his 2nd try at color commentating. Rocco, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Hello, everybody. I'm really excited to get a good baseball game in here today and get these Miners back on a little win streak.
Josh,
Let's see what Aiden Dolinsky got here for the 0-0.
Big Doe, as he is colloquially known, starts the Bucs off with a pitch in the dirt, 1-0 to Josh Hankins. It's going to be a much more pleasant game weather-wise than it was a couple days ago. No rain in the forecast. A very pleasant temperature in the air. Fouled off 1-1, the pitch by the third baseman, Hankins. And the Miners are hoping it'll be a change of pace from the lopsided finish in the Bucs' favor 2 nights ago. The 1-1 from Dolinsky, inside, but a strike.
You know, Charlie, it's looking like it's going to be a good day. We got a 1-2 count. I must have did a pretty good job last game because they gave me a coffee today, and I kind of needed it. So
the 1-2, just missed it low, did Dolinsky, making his 3rd start of the season. He was the starter on the home opener against the Glacier Pilots way back in June. And that's a hit by pitch. Josh Hankins takes one square in the body, so he will be the first base runner for Anchorage. A 1-out man aboard against Dolinsky.
You know, we talked about not liking the the leadoff walks, but if there's one way to do it, I guess that's the way. Get them a little scared, tell them you're going to strike them out, and then accidentally beat them with a ball. I don't know. Might send a message or something.
Dolinsky, of course, is not the first time that he has hit somebody with a pitch this season. And against the Peninsula Oilers a couple weeks ago, it led to a bit of controversy. Not saying that that was intentional in that moment, nor was it there. But he's definitely not afraid to, as you say, let the batters know about it. Just some discussions ongoing there between Hankins and the first base coach. We're ready to get started now with Cole Carlone, who was a part of the drubbing the Bucs laid on the Miners last night. He had a solo home run off of Nico Tomasello to make it a 10-3 game, and that was the final score, with the game being called for rain shortly thereafter. Leadoff pitch is high from Aiden. Carlone, a 2-way superstar for the Bucs this season. Today he's just a designated hitter. A .336 batting average, which is 2nd in the ABL behind Chase Wilcox. .462 slugging, 17 runs batted in. And he takes a strike. That pitch was just on the outside corner, 1-1.
Dolinsky seems to be working the edges of the zone pretty well, and he's getting his calls right now.
Just what you'd like to see if you're the Mat-Su Miners, looking to avoid consecutive losses for the first time in nearly a month. The 1-1, lazy fly ball into left center field. Back on it is Scow, and he's got it right at the base of the wall. for 1 out.
All right, now the Miners got a double play, and they got a double play situation here. They kept the runner at first, got 1 out. Let's see if we can maybe roll one over here. This is Callahan, correct?
Ryan
And
Callahan, yes indeed.
Had a big swing past couple games.
He had that
been doing pretty well.
2-run home run in the first of these 3 straight games between the 2 top teams in the ABL on the season at .319, which is second on the Bucs, behind the man who just flew out. 16 runs batted in, 30 hits in 94 at-bats. Runner goes. Pitch 1 is outside. Throw down by Logan Vaughn. A nice sliding grab by by Ryan Richard to prevent that ball from going into the outfield, but he was not able to catch the runner, so Josh Hankins down with a stolen base.
And you know what? If that throw was on the bag, I think he had him. That was a good throw there. Just a little off, pulled him off the bag, but I think that throw's on the bag. We got a different situation here.
Bucs not normally known for their speed on the base path, so that might be something to keep their eye on. That pitch is all the way to the backstop from Delinsky, and that'll give Hankins a free ride to third. So a big swing there from what would have been a pickoff now results in Hankins all the way at third base, and Delinsky's got to dig in right away if he wants to keep this a scoreless game.
And you know, Charlie, going back to that leadoff walk, I mean, this is the situation where it starts to kind of bite at you. You don't want to give that first runner an opportunity to get on, especially free. You always want to make him earn it. So this is a situation where Delinsky really has to work to get out of.
His 1-1, and that is another hit by pitch. Delinsky is wild so far, and actually they're going to give him a balk. No, they're not. Okay. The Hankins thought he had a balk. He was walking in to take that run, but he'll have to stay at third. But Ryan Callahan is aboard. The second hit by pitch issued by Delinsky across the first 3 batters he's faced. He's got to shore up that control quickly here because the Bucs have runners on the corners with just 1 out.
You know, a ground ball could get us out of this, and that would be very big for the start of this game.
Absolutely.
Get us back swinging.
Tommy Eisenstadt, the first baseman, with a chance to get the Bucs off to an early lead once again. Eisenstadt out of Menlo Park, California, Gonzaga University, one of several Bulldogs on this squad. A .283 hitter, 16 runs batted in, popped him up into shallow left field. Giving chase is Richard as well as Scow. The latter makes the catch. He's throwing home, and that will dissuade Hankins from trying to score. An excellent play by Riker Scow to look the runner back and save a run. 2 away in the first.
Now that's something that's really going to work in Delinsky's favor here. He's 1 out away from getting out of this inning. You know, a little jam, little rocky start, but so what? Because I mean, if you can get out of here, you can start getting rolling. You know what I'm saying? Your pitch count isn't too high. You're not worried about too many things, and you know it's always about the next pitch. The pass is in the past, and now we got this pitch. So let's see what he does with it.
Brody Briggs ready to dig in with runners on the corners and 2 out. A big moment here for Aiden Delinsky. And he starts him off right down the middle.
And that's just a good pitch, you know. Giving him no option other than to do something bad with it or take it for a strike. And that's a good pitch. First pitch.
Briggs, the catcher for the Bucs. At .274 on the year. Awaiting the offering from the man out of NYU who's taking his time. Now he'll fire. That's a weak ground ball, but it's going to get through for a base hit. So Delinsky got 1 out away, but unfortunately he does allow a first inning run as Josh Hankins comes in to score on the RBI single. Brody Briggs has had the Miners' numbers so far this series, and he continues to do damage. It is 1-0 Anchorage here in the first. So Briggs with an RBI hit. The Miners once again will have to play from behind if they want to win this game here today. But Delinsky is hoping to keep it from being the crooked number that we saw back on Wednesday.
You know, the good thing about this is no matter what, you got to score to win. So now we just got to score to tie. And I think from the Miners' perspective, all of these guys that are playing out here today, everybody wants to score and everybody wants to win. So it's just making that a little bit more
That's
like
a line
our job.
shot down the first base line, a fair ball. Sorry to cut you off, but Will Burns just got himself an extra base hit. 1 run will score. Ryan Callahan will stay at third after the throw from the right fielder Strohmeyer keeps him there, but a 2-out double scores another run for the Bucs, 2-0. That was Brody Briggs, the runner at third, who had to hold up. Ryan Callahan came around to score to double the Bucs' advantage. And it's Riley Hunsaker, batter number 7 here in the first. Once again, this damage has been with 2 outs, so Delinsky just needs 1 more to stop the bleeding. He's got 2 runners in scoring position, but Hunsaker needs a hit in order to score them. Riley not an everyday player for the Bucs. This is his 41st at bat of the season, batting .225, just 2 runs batted in. 1-0 is outside, stopped by Vaughn. And we've seen the Miners come from behind many times this season, even though the winning streak is no longer alive. They have definitely made their money from behind many times this season. The 1-1 from Delinsky, a line shot over the head of Richard into left field. 1 run is in. Here comes Burns. He will score a 2-out, 2-run single. And the runs keep coming for the Bucs here in the first. Delinsky was so close to getting out of this inning with no damage. Instead, he has now allowed 4 Bucs runs, and the deficit continues to expand. Miners will need to get their offense into gear here. Luckily, they've got the entire game to do it, and every one of these batters could be the last here in the first. Brett Castillo will get his first at bat of the season against the Miners. He has had a handful of them for the Bucs this season. Delinsky trying to escape. 4-0 Matsu. Pitch 1 inside. What's the mindset like when you have an inning like this, especially at the beginning of a game, Rocco?
You know, just looking back on the game the other day, you know, the big thing is just minimizing. You want to minimize as much as you can, and that's exactly what Delinsky's trying to do here. You know, sometimes the game just doesn't work out. But the thing that stands out to me is when you look at the scoreboard, you see 3 hits, 4 runs, and some may ask, some may not understand why. And I think the big part of that is like the free bases, the free 90 feet. They'll always come back to hurt you. So I think the big thing for the Miners bullpen and the Miners pitching staff moving forward is eliminating free bases and free runs, and I think that's going to really set us ahead. So I think working on that through these next 3 games, creating some momentum, because baseball is just a game of momentum. And if you create some momentum and get things working the right way, I think that going into the playoffs, the Miners are the team to try and beat. And I don't know if many can do it.
Absolutely. The 1-2 swing and a ground ball to third. Bisaccia will throw on to Richard at second base to end the inning. The 3rd out recorded, but not before the Bucs get 4 more runs. Like you said, Rocco, they are going to have to dig deep if they are going to try and win this game. But luckily, they've got a lot of time to do so. It's only the first inning. Bottom of the first coming right up. You'll see the Matsu Miners bats in just a moment. Before then, though, we're going to kick it to a break. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. first we go. The Mat-Su Miners ready to start their quest to erase this deficit and get back into this game. Chase Wilcox, Drake Kerr, and Kellen Strohmeyer, the three due up against Eli Lipinski, making his second start of the season for the Bucs. And the best hitter in the ABL is also the leadoff man for the Miners, Chase Wilcox. If you've watched the team this season, you know exactly who he is. .333 on the season, 18 runs batted in, 34 hits, 8 extra base hits. Still looking for his first home run, but he's done just about everything else. His 1-0 is lined into right field. That's going to drop for a base hit. So just as I say it, Chase Wilcox gives the Miners exactly the start they need, a leadoff single against Lipinski.
And you know, Wilcox, I mean, he comes out every single day, and he's still continuing to produce. I thought it was really funny today during BP. We were sitting out there, and someone mentioned, like, oh, Wilcox, today's your day to go 0 for 4. He said, no, I'm leading off. I'm leading the game off with a hit. And that's exactly what he did. He came out, he had belief in himself, and he got it done. Drake Kerr, I mean, he's just been a firecracker for the Miners lineup all year, and I think that this is going to be a big day for him to step up and kind of start something rolling. So,
pitch one from Lipinski is outside. Kerr, 289, 17 runs batted in, 5 doubles and 2 triples for the man out of Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Excellent at manufacturing runs with his base stealing, with his taking advantage of opponents' mistakes, bunting, just the hustle plays that he uses. That's a rocket down the left field line foul.
And you know, the part of his game that makes, you know, him so hard to defend against is him bunting, because he's always on time for the fastball, but every single time you see him step up, you see that third baseman moving inward, and when they move inward, you almost have to be that much better of a defender in order to defend a ground ball if he hits one of those fastballs down the line. So it makes him a dual threat. It makes him a better player, and I think that it just add another facet to his game just elevates his ceiling a little bit more.
Cut and a miss from Kerr on pitch number 3. A 1-2 from Lipinski. 3.86 ERA for him. And a wave out of miss once more from Kerr. A 1-out strikeout for Mat-Su will bring Kellen Strohmeyer to the plate with a runner on.
Looking out there, I'm almost getting deja vu. We saw that jersey on the mound last game, didn't we?
Yes, it was worn by Garvey Rummery. We're not exactly sure what the story behind that was, but we were told by the Bucs broadcasters that there had been some kind of jersey mix-up. Garvey Rummery was the reliever on for the Bucs in that final inning of play. But this is its rightful owner, Eli Lipinski, who gets Strohmeyer to swing through pitch number 1. Normally used as a reliever for the Bucs and seldom used at that. 9 1/3 innings this season coming into today.
There might be a chance that we see a kind of a bullpen day action out of maybe the Bucs today. I think that they might be trying to, you know, set up their rotation for playoffs, just like a couple other teams may be doing. You know, spots are almost solidified, but there could be some things that happen throughout the rest of the year that switch guys minimally, but we're pretty close to winding down this
Runner goes.
season.
Pitch 3 is outside. 1-2. Into second base is Wilcox, and that ball got away from the shortstop, so he has a clean stolen base. Strohmeyer now will bat with a runner in scoring position. But as you were saying, Rocco, both these teams are locked into their playoff spots. They don't have anything directly to play for besides pride, of course, until the playoffs begin on Saturday. So it may be the case, at least on the side of the Bucs, that we will see them conserve their arms in their bullpen and in their starting rotation, because Lipinski, not normally a starter. Now Wilcox is headed for third. The throw from Briggs, he won't even try. So 2 pitches and 2 steals for Wilcox. Immediately the Miners doing what they do, trying to manufacture runs.
And, you know, that right there, that's just great baseball. You know, being able to take that extra base, get to third. Now you're literally a touch of the ball away from scoring. The only thing you can't have is a fly ball.
The 2-2, that's a pop-up. Exactly what you said couldn't happen, unfortunately, comes to pass. Into the glove of the shortstop, Will Burns. Strohmeyer flying out for out number 2.
Ryan Richard, he hasn't played in a couple games, but he has been working. He's been working very hard, and he's been doing very good every single day, showing up to the field, getting his work in. So it's really nice seeing him getting some ABs today. The kid can play with the best of them. He's I believe he's going to Louisiana Lafayette. He's going to walk on this year, correct, Charlie?
Yep. Transferring there from Baton Rouge Community College, which is where he hails from, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I got to talk with him before the game. He is raring to go, swing and a miss on pitch number 1, a high fastball for Richard. Comes into the day 197, 5 runs batted in. As you said, has not been in the lineup for a few days. But like all the members of the Mat-Su Miners, he is ready. And he'll line one into left field, then that will drop past the glove and in for a base hit. The left fielder, Callahan, could not come up with it, and an RBI single for Richard in his return to the lineup. Keeps on doing exactly what you were saying. He's ready to go.
And that's what I'm saying. Those players that could just stay ready to go every single day, just come out to the field, work hard, keep your head down. It always pays off. It always pays off. You see these guys, there's so many people that they work every single day, and that's a great sight to see right there.
Don Patrizzi, the starting second baseman, as the throw comes into first. A runner on first and 2 outs. This is exactly the start the Miners needed. They don't need to get it all back in one inning, but just get the offense off to a great start. You can make it up over the course of the 9-inning game we have today. No threat of a rain out, so you have all the time you need. Dom takes strike 1, 1-1 the count.
A lot of great offenses, they have goals, and one of the goals for the Miners, we want to get the 4 runs. However you can do it, when Ronnie Deck was here, and still it remains, you want to get the 4 runs. We've had a great pitching staff all year. Everybody's been pitching well. I think our ERA as a bullpen staff is sub 3. It might be sub 4 guaranteed, but, we're not giving up to a ton of runs. Nobody is. And now the thing with that is, if you could just score 1 run in an inning.
That's a high pop-up into shallow center field, ranging on it, and nobody's going to get it. A miscommunication for the 2 outfielders, center fielder Hunsaker, right fielder Castillo. Neither one of them called for it. That drops in for a lucky hit off the bat of Don Patrizzi, and this inning will continue all the way to third. Ryan Richard, the hustle on what looked like an inning-ending pop-out. Now the Miners back in business. Getting runs any way they can get it, just like what you were talking about.
With two outs there, I'm glad we didn't take a risk on sending Richard there. It could have been a chance though. It's tough because you got to be busting as soon as the ball goes up. But now we got first and third, 2 outs.
Christian Perez rips one to the second baseman, flips on to first, and that will end the threat. But the Miners do get 1. They leave a pair, but the score now 4-1 Anchorage. The Miners begin their comeback attempt with a productive first inning, and there will be more where that came from, folks. Second inning coming right up. You're watching Mat-Su Miners Baseball on YouTube. The second inning of play here at Herman Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska. The Anchorage Bucs lead your Mat-Su Miners 4-1 as Aiden Dolinsky is back on for the second inning of play, looking for a nice clean frame after the start he had. It'll be Rob Vandegrift, Josh Hankins, Cole Carlone, 9-1-2 due up against the man from New York City. And he'll start Vandegrift, the 9-hole hitter, with a ball.
Coming in, getting that run back, we're swinging a little bit momentum our way. The best thing to do here is get 3 quick outs. And if we can do that, that'll be very big for the Miners offense.
A good momentum shift that would be indeed. The 2-0 pitch from Dolinsky. That's a ground ball down the third base line. Bisaccia will throw across the diamond, and that will go over the glove of Perez. And rounding first, going for second is Rob Vandegrift. He will get there standing up. A wide throw by Nick Bisaccia trying to get that ground out results in a runner on scoring position to start this inning. Not what Delinsky and the Miners would like to see.
You know, that's tough. As a pitcher, your goal is to just get ground balls and pop outs. You want to get guys off balance. You know, striking out guys, it's a part of the game. It is. And it's a big part of the game because what they say is that the batting average against a strikeout is always 0. But the thing is sometimes when the ball gets put in play, you know, it's one thing to make a physical error. That happens in the game. But that wasn't a mental error whatsoever, so we can live with that as a program.
The leadoff man, Josh Hankins, comes up to bat for the second time. Started off this game by taking a pitch to his body. 1-0 count from Delinsky. Trying to keep the runner where he is at second base. That ball was fouled off of Hankins. 1 ball and 1 strike to the Bucs third baseman.
And you can ask any hitter in our lineup, and they'll tell you, when you foul a ball off yourself like that, it don't feel too good. And, you know, the hardest thing is to stay focused and get back in there. So now is the time for Delinsky to really attack this hitter.
Delinsky already showed him that he is willing to pitch inside and did so in both pitches to start this at bat. A runner on second, none out. Off the end of the bat into right field. Strohmeyer giving chase as that's into foul territory, and it goes right into the glove of somebody sitting
That's
in
Blake
the
Baltz.
bullpen. Blake Baltz making the catch. The bullpen catcher today. Unfortunately, does not count for an out.
Threw that ball out to the kids. They're running all over it. They can't wait.
A good deed there by the catcher, having the day off today. Now the 1-2 from Delinsky. Looking for a critical out number 1. He fires. Once again, that's further back. Fouled off by Hankins. The third baseman, another Gonzaga man, originally Boothwyn, Pennsylvania. One of few Eastern United States natives not on the Matsu Miners in the ABL this season. Inside pitch is a ball, 2-2. Seems like the Miners have monopolized the eastern part of the United States, as every other roster in the ABL seems to be mostly West Coast players. Of course, you are one of those. I wouldn't call you East Coast native, but Pennsylvania for sure. That's flied into foul territory. This time it should be playable. First baseman has it. Christian Perez makes the play. A foul out, unproductive, just what the Miners needed, keeping the runner where he is.
And, you know, Delinsky, he has that run on his fastball, and you pair that up with that slider. It's very hard because you can tunnel that pitch so well, and that's what he's been doing, you know. He tunnels it right on the arm lane, and he lets that slider run off the arm lane, sometimes off the plate, and then that sinker just comes right back into righty. So you could do a similar thing here with the lefties. You could tunnel it as well, and I think that's what Delinsky's approach here for this batter is going to be. Get him off balance and try to not get too good of a swing off. You know, he sees right there that Carlone was on time for that one, fouls it off straight back. It's time to mix it up. So let's see what he does here with the 0-1.
Carlone flied out to left field. It was a deep fly out, but Riker Scow made quick work of it. Delinsky's 0-1. Out of the stretch, he fires outside. Stopped by Vaughn. He kept it in front of him. Was able to keep Vandegrift where he is.
Not much tunneling to do out there, Charlie. So let's bring it back in. We got a 1-1 count. Like I said before, this is an action count. So we're looking to make something happen here as staff. We want to get a pitch in the zone. We want to try to get something below the barrel, above the barrel, and just, you know, kind of get him a little off balance, but force him to do something with it. So let's see what he does here.
The 1-1. High and outside. Stopped by Vaughn for a 2-1 count. The Miners, like you were saying before, combined for a staff ERA of 2.79, which is far and away the best in the ABL. The Bucs, the only other team in their solar system. But we heard last night at the host family dinner, head coach Tyler Brunn said this was the best pitching staff he had ever seen in Mat-Su Miners jerseys. And I certainly believe him. The 2-1, another outside pitch. Delinsky's got to find the zone here.
You know, the thing with this at bat, we do have first base unoccupied, so you could put the double play in effect here. So I wouldn't be surprised if Delinsky's kind of flirting with the edges. Missed that one a little bit too outside, but you don't got to throw him a perfect pitch here.
3-1 is inside, and indeed, he did not offer him a strike. A 5-pitch walk to Cole Carlone gets him aboard. But as you said, that does open up the double play possibility. That would be something Aiden Delinsky would absolutely welcome. With Ryan Callahan at the plate, has been hit by a pitch in the first inning, came around to score as well. Cole Carlone at first, Rob Vandegrift at second. No hits in this inning for the Bucs. It was an error and a walk. They got these base runners where they are right now. Delinsky wants to keep them there. Pitch 1 finds the zone against Callahan.
Big thing for Delinsky right here is controlling the running game. You can't let them get to second and third, especially with one out. So the big thing here is he's got to mix up his looks, he's got to mix up his pitches, and he's got to try to get this hitter off balance.
Outside.
Seems to be the changeup that he keeps missing arm side. You know, some days that changeup is such a feel pitch. You got to have really good feel for it, and some days you just don't got it. It's a little tough to really locate, so you got to keep throwing it, but you got to keep throwing it in the right counts.
Got a piece of that, did Callahan, 1 and 2. So Delinsky has him with 2 strikes. He has missed a lot of pitches, as you said, in that area wide off to the left, arm side, as you put it. So that'll be something he'd like to get calibrated over the course of this game. Can make that moot with a strikeout here, or a double play, which would be even better. The 1-2, Callahan stays alive.
Goes back to that sinker. You know, that sinker, it's got a ton of run on it. It works really well. It tunnels with all of his pitches. And you know, getting those 2 foul balls, now you mix something up. You put it in that tunnel, you could have a really good pitch here. So we got a 1-2 count, and he's just looking to take advantage of it. You can get a little greedy here. Look for a strikeout.
1-2, outside once more.
Now that's a little too greedy, you know. But we'll bring it back in, 2-2 count. You want to throw your best pitch and see if you can get an out here. We want to guarantee an out, but a strikeout's nice.
He'll take it however he can get it. A payoff pitch from the man out of NYU. The towering righty ready to fire. And not ready, in fact. He will step off. Vandegrift at second, Carlone at first. Callahan has worked this count full. A big juncture for Big Doe. The payoff. Got a piece of it again. The at-bat continues. Callahan making a marathon out of this. The junior out of Overland Park, Kansas, Wichita State.
You know, it would be really nice to see Delinsky get some 2 strikeouts or 2 big
Runner
outs
goes,
here.
and that is outside for ball 4. It would have been nice, but unfortunately that is not what came to pass. The second straight walk issued by Delinsky, and that will prompt Logan Vaughn to come out and talk with him. The bases are loaded with 1 away, and Tommy Eisenstadt coming to the plate. A double play, as you said, would be absolutely vital to escape this inning without allowing runs for the second straight frame. Carlone moves down to second, Vandegrift to third. Callahan taking Carlone's spot at first. 2 walks and an error in the inning for Delinsky, and he's going to get ready to face off against Eisenstadt, who also flied out in the first. 283 on the season for him. 28 hits.
You know, there's not much possibility of a bunt, so we can kind of expand the infield here, you know, make it as big as we can while still securing the run on the corners.
Miners do have that force out at home now. Pitch 1 inside.
Delinsky seems to be, you know, establishing that inside part of the zone very well.
That's a weak ground ball. Might be exactly what the Miners need. They're going to take the out at first, and they're not going to get it. Aiden Dolinsky was out of position, and he couldn't jump off to the first base bag in time. So a run will come in to score, and the bases will remain loaded with one out. An unfortunate lapse in communication for the Mat-Su Miners infielders, Christian Perez and Aiden Dolinsky, not communicating properly on that one.
You know, the other thing there is, I mean, baseball is a lot of instincts, and it's pretty hard to instinctively react to what seems like a swinging bunt, you know?
Absolutely. That was a very odd play. It had to be a split-second decision. That's stopped by Logan Vaughn, and he gets enough of his padding on it that the run is not able to score.
And that's a really good block there. You know, Logan Vaughn, he was sick a couple days ago, out with a cold, you know, and I mean it hit him pretty hard enough for him not to come to the field. You know, this kid wants to show up every single day, so seeing him not be there, you know, he's got to be pretty beat up, and now he's back behind the dish working hard for us.
He's performing defensively so far today, and he's had his work cut out for him. 2-0 pitch, or 2-0 count, I should say. The 1-0 pitch is outside after the single by Eisenstadt, which is what that was scored as. Don't know who you'd give that error to, so most likely an infield hit anyway, because that would have been a difficult play regardless. That's a ground ball down the first base line again. This time they're going to throw home and get the force out there, stop another run from scoring. 5-1 the score remains. Down to first on the fielder's choice was Brody Briggs, who is at the plate in that at-bat. But the Miners make the heads-up defensive play to keep the deficit where it is.
And, you know, it's not very common that you see two of such similar swings back-to-back. I think that Perez over there at first base kind of understood after the first one that might have been the way to go with the first swinging bunt that we had. So now that we got 2 outs, I mean, we're 1 pitch away, force play anywhere, and we got a good situation here for the Miners to get out of it and get swinging again.
Will Burns had that RBI double back in the first inning, up for the second time. He takes strike one, or swings through it, I should say. Brody Briggs at first, Eisenstadt at second, Callahan at third. 5-1 the score. Mat-Su down by 4 in the early goings. The 0-1 inside take.
Dolinsky starting to show more feel for that slider. You know, he missed with it a little bit arm side there, but the first one he got a swing and miss on it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that again later in this at-bat.
Definitely seems to be putting it a bit closer to the plate recently, and he does so there as well. Misses the zone once again, 2-1. But the control is coming. A man at every base for the Bucs. Mat-Su with 2 outs once again. The same situation where the damage happened an inning ago. Dolinsky looking to atone. His 2-1 bounces way up into the air off the padding of Vaughn. He had no idea where it was. The tag attempt by Dolinsky, that was a valiant play, a sliding grab by the man on the mound to try and get that desperate tag, but he was not able to, as the pass ball plates another run. 6-1 the score in Palmer.
And I mean, wow, that was very close. I thought he
had it at first.
I thought he was going to get it, Charlie.
I did as well, but he just missed. The runners all advance, so first base now unoccupied. The Miners are going to need a tag or force play at first, but they will load the bases right back up. And now Vaughn is appealing down to see if that was a swing. It was not. Ball 4 gets Will Burns aboard. The bases are once again loaded with 2 runs in the second. Now, you mentioned a piece of terminology earlier in this inning, Rocco, that I don't think I've heard before, the concept of tunneling your pitches. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, tunneling, I mean, it's a fairly new age term, but the actual idea of what tunneling is something that pitchers have been trying to do for a long time, but now a lot of specialists have come up with the actual, you know, science behind why it works. So a lot of what happens is there are a couple things physics related that happen to the baseball on the way to the plate. And one of it is spin axes. So if you look at a clock and you see something spinning in, say, a 1 o'clock spin direction, you know, so something that would tunnel with that pitch very well would be something in the 7 o'clock spin direction. And learning how to spin the ball in a similar axis and get it to move 2 different ways can cause you to tunnel the baseball.
Very interesting. Riley Hunsaker taking a strike. And so is that just wanting to have pitches that spin in different directions, keeping batters on their toes, that kind of thing?
It's a very big combination. It's between spinning and it's also between the actual movement that you get on the ball. Because
lazy fly ball into foul territory. Nick Bisaccia is going to have a go at this, but he is unable to cover the ground in time. Still the count moves to 0-2. Not the worst outcome for Dolinsky by any stretch.
Well, so it's not only just the spin and it's not just the movement. It's kind of the combination of both, because what they've found now is that the way that physics is, there's something called the Magnus force, and Magnus will actually work with gravity to increase the movement of a ball depending on the way that it spins. Now you can get seam shifted wake. That's a new term that a lot of pitchers are really focusing on.
Strike three. Sorry to interrupt you, but whatever Aiden Dolinsky's doing with his pitches, it is working. A big K from Big Doe gets him out of the inning with the bases loaded. 2 more runs come in to score, but with the way the Miners were hitting the ball in the first, this one could be a shootout, folks, so don't go anywhere. Matsu Miners baseball will return right after this. Bottom of the second, the Matsu Miners now trail by 5 runs in this matchup against the #1 team in the ABL, but the comeback attempt is alive and well. We saw in the first inning they got a run back, and they're going to try and do the same with the bottom of the order due up. Riker Scow had to duck out of the way of that pitch. Very nearly missed hitting him in the head. Scow, Vaughn, Bisaccia, 7-8-9 due up against Lipinski, and the left fielder out of BYU's got a 1-0 count.
Now, we were about 3 inches there from a base runner, Charlie.
Absolutely. That's in the power rankings of ways that I'd like to get a base runner, that's probably at the bottom, but as long as he'd be okay, I'd take it. Scow with a 2-0 count from Eli Lipinski, trying to be a leadoff base runner once again, as Chase Wilcox was in the inning before. Having a great go of things lately is Riker Scow. Totally on the season 137, 9 runs batted in. He's had a few extra base hits, one of the fastest men on the Miners. And a good take there, 3-1.
And you're exactly right, man. He can move. You see him running around during practice, during pregame. Kid can move. He's a freak athlete.
Often used as a pinch runner by Matsu. Today gets the start. The 3-1 pitch, a weak ground ball fielded by Lipinski. He'll throw across the diamond and link up with the first baseman Eisenstadt for a leadoff putout.
We were touching on the speed there, and there's few people that can make that play just that close. And I think his speed played a big factor in why that play was just as close as it was.
That's something the Miners make an emphasis of trying to play the game that way as Logan Vaughn comes to the plate. I talked with Kyle McCausland on an episode of Valley Chats a couple days ago, which is on the YouTube channel now. Everybody watching should check that one out after the game. And he talked about what he had learned coming from D3 Middlebury's there are more ways than just base hits, extra base hits, home runs, to score runs. And the Miners definitely employ a lot of those, bunting, stealing, just using their speed, taking advantage of opponents' mistakes, manufacturing runs where there might not otherwise be chances for them, and then obviously getting the key hits when they need them.
There are. And, you know, manufacturing, I like that term a lot because it's not just, you don't just play the game. You know, you play different games within the game, and that's what people that really, really love and enjoy baseball, that's what they respect so much about the sport. The game within the game.
Fly ball into shallow right field off the bat of Vaughn. Right fielder calling for it, and Brett Castillo makes the catch. 2 up, 2 down for Matsu. For Nick Bisaccia, batter number 9, starting at third base today out of Seton Hall. Gets the start on the infield. On the season, 191, 7 runs batted in. Had that home run a couple weeks ago. Half of his extra base hit total that was, and he'll fly one up back behind the plate. Brody Briggs thought he had a play on it, but it drifts out of play. Shouts of heads up that may have landed in or close to the crowd, but I didn't hear.
Hopefully that wasn't too close to a fan, you know?
Absolutely. We don't have the comically loud glass shattering effect playing the way we normally do. Doesn't really feel the same, you know? The 0-1 taken for a strike by Bisaccia. Lipinski, after allowing a run in the first, is 1 strike away from a 1-2-3 frame. Nick Bisaccia trying to prevent that. The 0-2 from the righty is low and away.
You know, it's funny because you see him throw the first 2 right there, and then it almost seems like he tried to do too much with it. So as a hitter here, you got to really stay connected with the zone.
Swing and a miss. Bisaccia cuts through that one. K number 2 on the day for Lipinski, and that was a lightning quick frame for him. The Matsu Miners unable to score in the second inning, but they've got a lot more baseball left to play and make this a competitive game. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball here on YouTube. Don't go anywhere. Field, Miners 1, Anchorage Bucs 6, as Aiden Dolinsky gets ready to square off against Brett Castillo, Rob Vandergrift, and Josh Hankins. 8-9-1 due up in the third against the big righty out of New York City, trying to keep this a 5-run deficit for the Miners to mount an offensive comeback. Charlie Fellows, Rocco Bernardino on the call. And it will be Castillo to lead off, who ended the first inning by hitting into a fielder's choice. He now leads off the third and swings and misses at a curveball from Dolinsky, 0-1.
You know, looking at that scoreboard, you see the first inning we given up 4, and second inning we give up 2. I think it's about time to get a 0 here for the Miner staff. So looking forward to seeing Aiden Dolinsky start slaying these Bucs, you know.
Certainly trending in that direction. 2 quick strikes issued by Dolinsky to Castillo, who has not been an everyday player for the Bucs. Came into the day with just 22 at-bats and 4 hits, a 182 average. 0 for 1 today, taking ball 1.
Delinsky seemed to rear back for that one, try and put a little extra on it. So we get the 1-2. Time to get a little greedy, try and get that strike on the corner, that swing and a miss.
He has that wide delivery. Now the 1-2, just got a piece of it.
Just barely fouled that one off. I'm not sure how he even got to it. I mean, the movement on that pitch, it was tunneled pretty well. So
they'll try again, a 1-2. That time, Castillo able to lay off. Had a pitch low and away. He's definitely controlling that curveball a bit better, like you said. We were starting to see it in the second, and he seems to have a handle on it now. The 2-2, he fires, and a comebacker past his glove, but right into the glove of Dom Patrizzi, who throws on for an out number 1, a leadoff ground out, exactly what Aiden Delinsky was looking for.
And that's right, exactly what we needed. It's time to get on a roll. It's time for Delinsky to keep, just slaying these Bucs and going after them and, hopefully putting on a little better performance. He's pitching well. He's throwing the ball where he wants it. Sometimes they're putting a good swing on it, but it's the free bags that are they're really catching up to us. A couple free bags. I think every free bag so far has scored, and that's something that we got to eliminate. So as a staff, it's gonna get better. It's trending up, but 6-1 is not a deficit that nobody's seen before, and I think that getting out of here as quick as we can will be great.
Grounded down the third base line, off the bag, and that's a fair ball. That was a terrible hop from Nick Bisaccia. Nothing he could have done about that.
And great hustle by Ryan Richard getting over there for the backup. If he's not there, we might be looking at man on second with 1 out instead of man on first, but we still got the double play intact.
A fluky base hit by Rob Vandegrift. He makes it to first. That's the 4th hit allowed by Delinsky, but like you said, keeping him at first, critical for those double play chances, always on the mind for the Mat-Su pitcher. Josh Hankins will bat for the 3rd time this game. He has batted in every inning so far. Takes one inside, 1-0. A hit by pitch in the first, a pop out in the second. You're talking about those free passes. Delinsky had 2 hit by pitches in the first. Both came in to score. 3 walks in the second. 1 came in to score. 1 was thrown out at home, and 1 was stranded on the base paths. So definitely something he's looking to avoid.
Staying away from these walks so far, this inning has been a big part of why there aren't any runs scored yet. We got him with double play and tag, like I said again, and Delinsky is establishing this inside part of the zone. You could tell it by the reaction on the last pitch. Hankins is definitely fed up with the inside fastball, so it's time to start playing something a little off of it, maybe come back to it later.
1-1 line fouled on the left side. He did have a bit of a exasperated look on his face after he took that opening pitch inside, but since then it has been all strikes. So Delinsky winning that battle. He can finish him off with his next offering. A 1-2 with a man on first and 1 out. The pitch into center field, down for a base hit. Josh Hankins has his first knock of the day, and it moves Vandegrift up to second. First and second, 1 away.
And, as far as, like I said, the game within the game, and one of the games within the game is pitch calling. I think Logan Vaughn did a great job. He called a great pitch there. He threw the slider, just a little bit too much play. If you get it any more often, you might get a swing and a miss or a rollover, ground out, pop up. It's going to result in an out. Now, we still got the double play intact. Carlone has been known to also, ground out and put the ball on the ground and give us an opportunity for one of those double plays or even maybe a weak pop-up to the outfield. So let's see if we can get a big out here. 2 outs would be great, but we'll take just 1 if we need it.
Carlone, a fly out and a walk so far. Delinsky's 1-0, a comebacker, diving stop, but it gets through. Ryan Richard will load the bases, a stop sign thrown. Rob Vandegrift stays at third, but once again, the bases are loaded. 3 straight singles to start this inning after a ground out. Delinsky again will have to navigate a massive jam. Carlone with his first hit. It'll be him, Hankins, and Vandegrift, the occupants of first, second, and third, respectively. Ryan Callahan, you talk about those free passes. Callahan has scored twice in this game, first via a hit by pitch in the first, and then he was walked in the second. Scored on that wild pitch. Line Line down the right field line for a base hit. That'll be at least 2. 1 run comes in. Here comes the run behind him. Hankins will score. Staying at third is Carlone. A 2-run double for Ryan Callahan. That makes the deficit a bit bigger. 8-1 your score here at Herman Brothers Field, and Aiden Dolinsky once again has allowed multiple runs. Callahan with a rocket down the right field line that no fielders could have made a play on.
Seems that we got a call down to the bullpen. We're talking about getting someone moving down there. Blake Baltz is communicating with the pitchers, trying to give them a little insight as to what we're going to do moving forward here.
Ride this one out with Dolinsky. He's hoping he can get through this frame, and he certainly has the tools to do it. Tommy Eisenstadt, a single and a fly out today. 1-0 pitch. Starts the count off that way. Callahan at second, Carlone at third. 1 out in the third. Dolinsky's 1-0. Another comebacker. This time another diving stop, and again it will get through. A base hit for Eisenstadt. Scores another run. 9-1. And at this point, Dolinsky, as I said before, just trying to get through the inning. He is now allowed 5 hits in this third and 3 runs to go along with that.
And that's about all the effort you can give right there by Don Patrizzi laying out for that ball, you know. I mean, just snuck right under his glove, but he gave it everything he had. That would have been a nice stop, you know, getting us back in there, minimizing the damage. So what, 3 runs, but we got to get back in there as soon as we can. So that's the goal from here on out.
Absolutely. Patrizzi and Richard and the ground ball before that both dove and gave it everything they had, but the ball took an unfortunate bounce and was able to get underneath them. Strike 1 fired into Briggs. A single, a fielder's choice. He has reached both times. Dolinsky. That's a fly ball off to left field. Riker Scow giving chase, and that will fall just foul. Scow lucky that one did not get to the right side, but just in case, he dove for it. Again, you talk about that effort. Making sure if that was a fair ball, it would not be as much damage as it may have been if it had kept on rolling. Now an 0-2 count. Briggs with Will Burns on deck. Runners on the corners. Dolinsky will take it out any way he can get it. He fires outside, not stopped by Vaughn. That goes all the way to the backstop. Run number 10 for the Bucs. Scores on a wild pitch. Down to second goes Tommy Eisenstadt.
Looking down there, it looks like Nolan Murphy's getting moving around in the bullpen down there. You know, he's been very good for the staff this year. Dolinsky's giving it everything we got. Got 4-2-4 going into 1, 2, and 3 here. But the thing is we got 9 innings of baseball today, and you know, you could start piecing runs together here and get back in this thing as soon as this inning.
Absolutely. Swing and a miss by Brody Briggs, so he will go down. First strikeout for Dolinsky. He needed to see that second strikeout, I should say. He ended the second inning with 1 as well. So 2 away in the third.
Shortstop, number 9.
Will Burns comes up. A double and a walk so far today for the shortstop. And as you say, the Miners hoping to get their bats up in the bottom half of the third and start chipping away at this deficit. If anybody could erase a score like this, it would be Matsu. Swing and a miss by Burns, 0-1, with Tommy Eisenstadt at second. The 0-1 inside. Burns had the 2-run double in the first. The 1-1, and that hit him. Curveball got away from Dolinsky there once again. Third hit by pitch by him. Burns on to first, and it will bring up the 9th man to bat in the third, Riley Hunsaker. Dolinsky with runners on first and second. Hunsaker has singled and struck out so far this game. He struck out to end the second inning, so Delinsky has had success against him of late. Can try to have him be the last batter of an inning for the second straight frame. And escape with 4 runs of damage. He'll get a lazy fly ball into left. This may indeed end it. Richard has it for out number 3. 4 runs come in to score in the third. 10-1 your score now between the Bucs and the Miners as Delinsky gets the third out. You're watching Mat-Su Miners Baseball on YouTube, and instead of a break, we'll do our standings check-in as we do between the top and bottom of the third innings every day. I alluded to it at the top of the broadcast, but the Bucs splitting that doubleheader yesterday against the Chugiak Eagle River Chinooks did lock down the 1 seed in the ABL for them. The Miners then are locked into the 2 seed at 23-14, and they also know their opponent in the first round of the playoffs. The Peninsula Oilers have had the 3 seed clinched for a while now. They're 23-17. They're done with their regular season schedule. They will come up here to Herman Brothers Field for a potential 3-game series, with the first game being on Saturday at 4, so be sure to tune in to that one. The Anchorage Glacier Pilots also done with their season at 13-27. They're 14 games back of the pace and just a half game ahead of the Chugiak Eagle River Chinooks, who have a doubleheader against the Miners tomorrow. If they're able to take both of those games, they could leapfrog the Pilots and send the reigning ABL champions to a last place finish and out of the playoffs. The Miners will, in essence, get to choose who the Bucs will play in the first round of the playoffs, although not to say that they would actively have any say in that, as the standings at the top of the ABL at least have settled into place. The Miners do definitely want one final win against the Bucs to split the season series and get a bit of momentum going into the playoffs, as you mentioned. On to the bottom of the third now. Top of the order due up for Mat-Su: Chase Wilcox, Drake Kerr, and Kellen Strohmeyer. 3 hitters that are known for their ability to start rallies. Wilcox especially started this game with a single. After a 1-2-3 second, he's hoping to inflict his will upon Lipinski. He'll ground it to second. Fielded, throws on to Eisenstadt, who had to stretch for it, but he kept his foot on the bag. Wilcox nearly legged that one out, but unfortunately he was thrown out by a matter of inches. 1 pitch, 1 out for Lipinski in the third.
Center fielder, number 9.
Drake Kerr, who struck out swinging against Lipinski in the first inning. Also known for his ability to manufacture base runners and manufacture action. His team down by 9 runs. They need all the contributions he can muster. First pitch outside. Kerr, the center fielder out of Texas A&M Corpus Christi, a man head coach Ty LeBrun referred to during the host family dinner last night as the leader of the team. Lays off a strike, 1-1.
You know, and a leader is exactly what he is. You know, he sets the tone. He sets the example. He says a lot, but he doesn't always try to say a lot because he tries to do most of his leading with his actions, and he does a very good job of it.
Fly ball on the infield into foul territory. Brody Briggs calling for it, and he didn't get it. Briggs and the third baseman Hankins did not communicate that properly, so Kerr catches a break. 1-2 the count on the center fielder. Bucs have had a couple plays like that. There was the single off the bat of Dom Patrizzi that landed in between a few fielders. That time it extends the at-bat for Drake Kerr, and if you're the Bucs, you don't want to give that guy any extra pitches to look at. Mat-Su hoping he can parlay that into a trip to first base, and he'll rocket one out to left field, going back on to Callahan. He's giving chase. Looks like that's going to be foul. He slides, and he made that catch. Wow. Ryan Callahan sliding on the grass makes an excellent play to rob Drake Kerr of another foul ball to keep his inning going. That ball looked very hard hit at first. Drifted foul, and unfortunately Callahan was able to track it down. A loud out for Drake Kerr, and another 2 away. Strohmeyer is popped out to short. The man out of Dubuque, Iowa, takes the first pitch. Third base umpire says he did, so it will be 1-0. With Ryan Richard on deck, who had an RBI hit back in the first. 1-0 is outside. Strohmeyer trying to do his part to give the Miners a spark. And he'll hit one into right field, going back on at Castillo, and he won't get it. That's going to roll all the way to the wall. Strohmeyer's trying for two. He will get there. A two-out double for the man from the University of Iowa. That is the spark the Miners needed. The first extra base hit of the day for Matsu. Strohmeyer will take his spot in scoring position, and Ryan Richard, along with Dom Patrizzi, who is also due up if Richard is able to reach base. The two of them had singles in the first, so Richard can once again drive in a run for his Matsu club with 2 outs. Strohmeyer will be running on contact.
It's always nice seeing Strohmeyer put a charge into a ball, especially with 2 outs, getting something started, maybe start chipping away at this lead. 2 outs here. We got Richard back up. He had a hit last at bat. He hasn't been playing much, but, he sure still is ready to go. So we got a good hitters count here. He's already ahead, and hopefully he can get his pitch and drive it.
The 1-0 from Lipinski with a runner in scoring position. Just got a piece of that. 1-1. Richard Patrizzi on deck. The righty Lipinski ready to deal. Looking Strohmeyer back to second, and that's a pop-up off the bat of Richard into shallow center field. Ranging on it are the pair of outfielders. The center fielder, Hunsaker, had to cover a lot of ground. I thought that might drop in again for a second, but he was able to grab it for out number 3. Strohmeyer stranded in scoring position. 10-1, the score remains after 3. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball here on YouTube. Don't go anywhere. Top of the 4th here in the Matsu. 10-1 the score. The Anchorage Bucs on top of your Matsu Miners, and it is indeed a new pitcher, Nolan Murphy, making his 2nd appearance in as many games for the Miners. The Matsu Valley native out of Wasilla, Central Washington University, comes into the day, a 3.60 ERA, 15 innings pitched for the right-hander. Will face off against Hunsaker, Castillo, and Vandegrift. Sorry, Castillo, Vandegrift, and Hankins, 8-9-1. Hunsaker was at bat when that last inning ended, and Castillo now taking strike 1. Murphy, another pitcher who has been the subject of a Valley Chat interview on the Matsu Miners YouTube channel. Great content there. Interviewed by Dylan Simmons. A 1-1 pitch from Murphy. Cut and a miss.
And that's good stuff. It looks like he has really, really good feel for his pitches today. A lot better than the other day. It might have been the short rest. I don't know what it is, but he looks completely rejuvenated, ready to go. And, my man Smurf, he's back out there dealing. So let's get back into it.
1-2 to Castillo, the only Buck without a hit so far today. And he'll fight one off. 1-2. Murphy now makes it an Alaskan versus Alaskan duel in terms of the pitchers on the bump for the respective teams today. 2-2 the count as that pitch is outside. Eli Lipinski on the other side out of Anchorage, and Murphy, of course, from just down the road. A great sight for Alaska Baseball League fans everywhere. 2-2. Another high bounce. We saw that back in the second inning, which ended up with a run coming around to score. That time, no base runners on to punish the Miners, but it will be a full count. 3-2 to Castillo. Murphy trying to keep him off the base paths for the third time this game. The payoff. Instead, that will be ball 4. A leadoff walk from Murphy. Castillo is aboard, and the Bucs continue their trend of having a base runner in every frame today. Murphy will have to navigate through this jam, and that's something we've seen him do many times this season. So definitely a trustworthy man for the job as Rob Vandegrift comes to the plate.
That free base runner, once again, it's always tough, but you can capitalize off of it here now. So, I mean, we're really looking for a ground ball, double play, even a force out at second. That'll be both of those will be really nice, and we can even take advantage of a strikeout here.
Vandegrift has reached on an error and singled. Hit that one the opposite way, foul. As we've said before, the Miners will take outs however they can get them. They would love a quick frame in the middle part of this game, as the offense showed some signs of life in the third with that Kellen Strohmeyer double. They can absolutely come out of nowhere. We saw it last night with that 3-run inning. 1-1 finds the zone for Murphy.
And you know, with baseball being such a momentum game, usually it comes down to whoever spends the most time hitting, and whoever spends the most time in the field, they're usually struggling. So if we can get back off that field, we get out there and we hit, we take our time, we make this game last in our favor on the hitting side, I think that we can get right back into this game. I think it could be a great one.
Nolan Murphy did indeed take advantage of a punch out there, retiring Rob Vandegrift for the first time. The third K of the game for the Miners pitchers, first for him. He will pitch with 1 on and 1 out. With the top of the order, Josh Hankins, who has been hit by a pitch, singled and popped out. And again, a strike. Nolan Murphy not afraid of these Bucs bats, filling up the strike zone early, and it has worked out so far, the leadoff walk notwithstanding. Umpire
Stating that he needs to have clear eye contact with the hitter before he starts his motion. And that's been an issue a couple different times in this league, especially with the difference in the rules between NCAA Division I, NCAA Division II, III, and also junior colleges and NAIA. A lot of the college baseball players, they're working with the pitch clock, similar to the major leagues. And in this league, there is no pitch clock, so there's a lot of confusion whether we need to be fast, we need to be on time, or there's also some confusion that's being caused by people taking advantage of there not being a pitch clock, trying to throw guys off, throw off their rhythm, take their time. And it's a bit of a struggle to kind of get used to. But I think that these last 3 games will be a good time for the pitchers and the hitters to learn how to, deal with it a little bit more before we get going into those playoffs, because that's really what matters here.
1-2 for Murphy. Looking for strikeout number 2. Instead, he'll coax another foul fly. That's definitely something we've observed throughout this season a lot. The lack of a pitch clock makes these games fundamentally different from what you'd see in the college game or in MLB. The pitch clock is pretty universal at the high levels of baseball, but not in summer ball. 1-2, up the middle for a base hit. Josh Hankins has his second single. Runners on first and second with 1 out.
And he just reaches out and finds a way to put a barrel on that ball. That pitch was not bad. It might have been up a little bit, but it was off the plate. And, just reaching out there, putting a little swing on it, that's part of the game as well. So, we still got the double play intact, and we got runners at first and second. 1 out. It could take us out of the inning here and get us back and swinging. Like I said, we just need to get on. We need to get off the field as quick as we can and stay hitting as long as we can. So that's the goal from here on out.
Carlone 1 for 2, a single, a fly out, a walk, has scored a run and an inning ago, batting for the 4th time in 4 innings. And he'll foul off pitch number 1. Murphy appeared in last night's game against the Bucs, gets the chance for back-to-back appearances in front of his home crowd, who, as he mentioned in the interview we did with him, always gets a little bit louder whenever they hear his name announced. A high school legend in the Valley, former Alaska State batting champion. Now a pitcher at Central Washington. The 0-1 is into left center field. That's going to drop for a hit. The center fielder Kerr throws on to third, and a run coming in to score for the Bucs. A double. It didn't look like that would initially be extra bases, but Carlone legs that one out, and it is an RBI hit for the 4th straight inning. The Bucs get a run to cross home plate. This time it's Castillo scoring on the 1-out double by Carlone. 11-1 the score now. We are officially in run rule territory.
Ryan Callahan.
That is hit number 10 for the Bucs to go along with run number 11. And Ryan Callahan, who has reached base all 3 times he has batted, taking strike 1 from Murphy. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Hankins the man at 3rd. Carlone at 2nd via the double. Castillo comes around to score. And Callahan has been hit by a pitch, walked, and hit a double of his own today. Murphy's 0-1 inside. Pitching through adversity.
I know. I think I heard correctly. Did you say Murphy was a batting
champion? Yes, indeed.
Really.
Two-way star.
I didn't know that. No, that's unique. Not a lot of players are able to do it, but we see it now more than ever. With players like Shohei, and even in the NCAA, we got players like Jack Caglione, even Paul Skeens at one point. He was a two-way player, and seeing those guys succeed it's something different. Being able to succeed on both sides of the plate, really.
2-1 fouled back. Nolan Murphy and Shohei Ohtani mentioned in the same sentence. I'm sure he'll be happy with that comparison.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he will. And I would be, too. That would be if I could hit a lick at all. I can't hit it all. It's been a while.
Makes it feel any better? Neither could I if you put a bat in my hand. The 2-1. Fouled off once again. Nick Bisaccia giving chase, but that's going to drift out of play. I don't know if you were at the youth clinic the day when Dylan and I ran from home plate to first base to try and time ourselves. If you weren't, I'm sure you heard about what happened.
Oh, yeah, I did hear a little bit about it. What was that time again?
I don't remember what the time was, but the Dylan wiping out on the way from home plate to first base. Dylan, if you're in the chat, we apologize, but that was
a treat, though.
Unforgettable moment. It took away from the fact that my time, he got back and ran again and still went considerably faster than I did. So
yeah,
I was going to film it, and I didn't for some reason, and that's something I'll have to go to my grave regretting.
That might have been the better option, though. You know what I'm saying?
The 2-2 on its way to Callahan. Murphy looking for a big second strikeout in this inning. Instead, he'll coax a ground ball. Patrizzi able to get a handle on it and throws on to first. Looks the runners back to where they went. And now Carlone is way off the bag in second base. That coaxed a throw down to second base and a disaster for the Miners infield. I like what they went for. Carlone was wandering on the middle of the base paths, didn't really seem to know what was going on. The Miners had a chance to double him off there, but instead the throw from Perez went into left field, and it resulted in Hankins coming around to score, an unfortunate run number 12. The defensive instincts were there, but the execution was not.
I agree with you, Charlie.
Lead by 11.
The instincts were there, but I think baseball-wise, just a high IQ play there is to hold it. You don't want to throw the ball around as much as you only want to throw it around as much as you have to, and if if you really don't have to, I don't think that was exactly what could have happened or what should have happened. But, at this stage in the game, we do want to minimize runs, and that was a risk. And I think the risk reward was just a little bit too high to take that risk there. So, Murphy, I'm sure he's not very happy with the decision on the throw there, but he's got to get out here, and I think that's his main focus. So.
And he absolutely can. Tommy Eisenstadt is flat out in this game, also singled twice. Takes a strike 1-1. The Miners now in danger of being on the wrong side of the run rule. They have run ruled several opponents this season, but they have never lost by at least 10 runs. Run rule kicks in. The game ends after the 7th inning if one team is up by 10 runs. Still a long ways to go. The Miners would certainly not be close to that margin right now. They can score runs in bunches, and I'm confident they will over the course of this game to avoid that fate. A 1-2 count by Murphy. He can end this inning right here. His offering to Eisenstadt. Just missed outside. Good pitch, but Eisenstadt did not chase. 2-2. All twos across the board there. That's what do you call that again?
That's exactly what we call deuces wild here.
Deuces wild. The 2-2. Right at the second baseman, Patrizzi, who gets it in his glove. That was a rocket, but he fielded it excellently onto first. It goes for the force out there. Another 4-3 put out to end the inning. 2 more runs come across to score to make this a 12-1 game. But the Mat-Su Miners had some life on offense back in the third. We're hoping to see that momentum continue on the other side of this break. Mat-Su Miners baseball coming right back after this. Bottom fourth at Herman Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska. Eli Lipinski, the Alaska native, will remain on the mound for the Bucs for his 4th inning of work. Has an 11-run lead to play with, but if you know the Mat-Su Miners, you know that could disappear sooner rather than later if they are able to get their bats into gear. Don Patrizzi, the great man to lead off in their quest to do just that, had a single back in the first. It will be Patrizzi, Perez, and Scow, the 3 due up in the 4th against Lipinski. This team has faced deficits before, none quite like this, but they've always kept on fighting, and that's something they will look to do for the remainder of this game. Patrizzi takes strike 1.
A leadoff runner would be nice here.
Especially one with the speed of the Lehigh Mountain Hawk. 0-1. Chase Stand fouled it off.
That ball was turned on, Getting that ball down the line at that speed, that's a very, very tough play for any third baseman. And, especially playing that far up, it's going to be a tough play regardless of who you are.
It's a high pitch. He went out and got it. Now the 0-2 is a dropper into center field for a base hit. Exactly what the Miners needed. Don Patrizzi bloops one into center field. A leadoff single. He's 2 for 2. And the Miners have 2 hits in their last 3 plate appearances. Things, once again, seem to be trending just a little bit upward.
And like we said, the big thing here for the Miners is that, knowing that the Bucs have played now the 4th game in 3 days, they're definitely low on pitching. We would like to, see as many arms as we can today, maybe run them out and, start to score runs off each of them. So if we can keep that pitch count high, we stay out here hitting as long as we can and, just look to get to the next arm. Get to the next arm and get the new opportunities, and that's exactly what Perez is doing here in this 1-1 count. It's an action count as a pitcher, but as a hitter, you want to get your pitch and drive it. So let's see what Perez does here on the 1-1.
That was hit number 5 for the Miners off the bat of Patrizzi. Perez trying to get number 6. The 1-1 lays off, and smartly so. Eli Lipinski has not issued a walk yet. 4 hits, 2 strikeouts, and the 1 run in that first inning, but showing signs potentially of fatigue. He has not pitched even close to this long in any game this season. Perez fouls that one off to the left side. There's the glass-shattering sound effect we all know and love. Swarm of small children chasing after that. Now Perez with the 2-2. The future Sacramento State Hornet out of Grand Canyon University, formerly New Mexico State, formerly before that Sunny Slope High School. Also the home of one Ty LeBrun. The 2-2.
And I was going to say he did play for Ty LeBrun,
Yes, he did.
right, in high school?
Sunny Slope High School, which is where Coach LeBrun is an assistant coach. That's where the connection came about, and it has been a valuable one. Perez, a very valued member of the team as a hitter. Also someone everyone seems to like in the clubhouse. 2-2.
And that's
Lays
a great
off it.
take.
Ball 4. Christian Perez coaxes that first walk from Lipinski, and for the first time since the first inning, the Miners have a pair of base runners with nobody out, a chance to eat away at the deficit a bit with Riker Scow coming to the plate.
And I'll tell you here, Charlie, one of the great things about this game of baseball is the connections that you make. It's not just about being a ball player, it's about being a great person. And, the connections that you make and the people that you meet, these relationships go a long way. There's a lot of players that not only are they set up for an athletic career once they get to a stage like this, but they're set up to be a better person overall, whether it's in the business world, with finances. You can go with just, relationships and communication and your everyday tasks. Athletes are very, very...
Scow's going to lift that one into left center field. A pair of outfielders ranging on, and the center fielder Hunsaker has it. Tagging and advancing to third safely is Dom Patrizzi, so a productive out for Riker Scow. It'll be runners on the corners with 1 out, and Logan Vaughn a chance to drive in his 5th run of the season.
Very productive run that was, or a productive out, I'm sorry. But moving that runner, that's a big part of this game, and now we got a runner in scoring position. We want to stay out of a double play here, maybe get a ball in the air and score a definite run. But, the thing is we want to keep this thing rolling as long as we can. So if we can get a base hit here, that'll be very big for the Miners offense. But like I said, these relationships, they build and they grow you not only as a baseball player but as a man. And
Vaughn rips one into right field for a base hit. That's the RBI knock he was looking for. Down to second goes Christian Perez. A big base hit for Logan Vaughn. An RBI doubles the Miners' run count. It is 12-2, but momentum beginning to shift.
Momentum for sure, and that's exactly what we're trying to take advantage of here as an offense. Nick Bisaccia, I know he wants to hit this game, and I know he's going to get it. So he's stepping up to the plate here, looking to move forward these runners, get another base hit, keep this thing going as long as we can. We want to stay out there, and the only way we're going to do that is if we keep hitting. And if we're not hitting, we got to have quality ABs the whole way through.
Bisaccia lays off pitch number 1, but that's called for a high strike. Perez at second, Logan Vaughn at first. Bisaccia, as long as he doesn't hit into a double play, the top of the order is up next with Chase Wilcox. Now an 0-2 count for the Seton Hall Pirate. One of many utility infielders on this Miners staff, he and Ryan Richard, as well as Don Patrizzi, all of whom are in the starting lineup today.
And it's always about the next man up. You want to get the next man up as often as you can. So we want to give Chase Wilcox a shot just as much as we want Nick Bisaccia to have a shot here.
0-2, a fly ball into shallow center field. Hunsaker has it, and the runners will stay put. So that will be out number 2, but Chase Wilcox will indeed get a chance. A single and a ground out so far for him, and just the kind of situation he has thrived in all year long.
We've seen Wilcox do it in batting practice a couple different times today, and I think that he could put it into play in this game. He's one swing away from cutting this lead almost in half.
Absolutely. Those home runs can be those inflection points of the game, and it's not a multi-double-digit run comeback without a big home run at some point during it. Chase Wilcox, he's been looking for one all season. That's about the only thing he has not done with the bat so far. Fouls the first pitch off 0-1. Man out of Liberty, Missouri, Central Missouri, one of the best teams in all of Division II baseball a season ago, and they are gaining a much improved Chase Wilcox for next season's run.
Definitely are, and he has just gotten better every single day he's been up here.
A chance to make a dent in this lead. Inside pitch taken for ball one. 1-1 the count. Lipinski in trouble here for the first time since the first inning. There is activity in the Anchorage Bucs bullpen, but Miners would like to have their shot at him because Wilcox had a good look at Lipinski in the first pitch of this ball game. The 1-1. Looping curve way outside. Stopped by Briggs. Drake Kerr would bat next. He's 0 for 2.
You know, something that might be going on here is that he might need to be, get that hand a little moist and, be able to get some more traction on the ball, be able to get some more spin. It's very common to lose that, the moist feeling on your fingers that you could say sticky and, work around that ball. So a lot of guys like to lick their hands. I know you saw Dolinsky doing it while he was out there. And, the only thing is with the rules, you got to wipe it off. So, you can go to the mouth, you can lick, and you can get it moist, but you got to wipe it off on your leg before you go and throw the pitch, or else it'll be a balk. So you got to be careful with that as well.
Interesting. Don't know if I knew the rules regarding spitting in the play Major League Baseball or summer ball.
Back in the day, they actually used to
can't
throw
throw spitballs. Yeah, I'm sure that's why those rules exist. Can't have Eli Lipinski throwing a spitter up there.
Yeah, we don't want to see a spitter, but we would love to see a base hit in this 3-2 count with 2 outs, men on first and second. We got Chase Wilcox up, nobody better.
A massive moment in this game for Matsu if they want to make this competitive. The payoff pitch from Lipinski, runners go into the opposite field, foul ball, giving Chase the third baseman. He did not cover enough ground in time. Ryan Callahan nearly went head over heels over that fence trying to make that catch.
And Wilcox is just fighting to stay alive, and I love to see it. The fight in this team, the fight in this lineup, no matter what the score is, you really can't tell. We're always playing just as hard. Whether we're up 12, we're down 12, we're up 10, we're down 10, or even if it's a one-run ball game, we're working hard. So I'm really excited to see what Chase does with this 3-2 pitch.
Another payoff from Lipinski. And that's hit well out to right field, going back on a Castillo. And he's got it in his glove to end the thread. A good piece of contact by Wilcox, but unfortunately did not find a hit. The Miners do get one back, though. 12-2 the score now on an RBI hit by Logan Vaughn. Keep on chipping away as the game goes on. We're on to the 5th inning after this. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. fifth, it is Ben DeTay on the mound for the Miners in lieu of Nolan Murphy as the reliever chain continues for Matsu. They quest for a scoreless inning, and Ben DeTay is a good bet to get one. 1.38 ERA in 26 innings pitched as a long reliever for this club. He has been one of the best relievers in the ABL. He coaxes a ground out to short, throws off by Richard to Perez. One pitch, one out. That is exactly what Ben DeTay does. Coaxes quick outs and does not allow runs. He is not allowed to run in an appearance in over a month. Just 4 earned runs on the season, 26 strikeouts for someone who's primarily been used as a reliever. He was the co-recipient of the Miners Reliever of the Year award last night, along with Drew Kennan, the closer, who leads the ABL in saves. Both very deserving of that honor. Ball one comes into Will Burns. And working quickly, Burns got under that, flied it into foul territory off to the right side, giving chase to Strohmeyer. And did he make that catch? They are going to say he did not.
Regardless, it was foul.
It was.
Burns was mistaking it for a fair ball.
Yeah,
so
Burns thought he was at first base. I'm not sure what ball he was looking at, but
DeTay, I'm sure he's looking to get right back on that mound and attack this hitter. You know, after hitting that foul ball running down the line, it's very hard to recover from, and I'm sure DeTay wants to get right back on him.
DeTay, as he is known by everybody on the Miners.
Some may say DeTay.
DeTay, with that specific inflection. It's something we heard a lot during the banquet last night. A 1-2 from the man in question. And he's got a strikeout. A high fastball blew right by Will Burns. Strike 3, 2 up, 2 down. This is almost the nice clean frame the Miners have so desperately needed.
And you know what, Charlie? That's hot. I mean, that pitch is coming in hot.
Center fielder.
He has the velocity
Riley.
very high up right now. Riley Hunsaker has a single, a strikeout, and a ground out today. Has ended the second and the third inning. Could he end the fifth as well? The Miners have not even had a scoreless inning for their pitches so far today, let alone a hitless inning. But that could be about to happen, and Ben DeTay, known for quick frames, the lefty working quickly, 1-1. A lot of relievers on this team, Rocco, love to work quick. What's the dynamic at play there between, I know Tucker Timmerman is another guy who, when the base path is empty, he really ups his tempo.
And you know what? Working quick is something that works almost in your favor, because what you do when you work quick is you don't give the hitter as much time to process what's going on. And, you know, some people, their brains, you know, it's just a natural occurrence that your brain takes over and you almost get a little bit too anxious. You can't really calm down and decide what you want to do. So then you feel so, you know, bombarded with all these thoughts and these actions that you have to perform, and it helps you as a pitcher.
The 2-2. Dropped it just above the zone. To bring the count full, Brett Castillo on deck.
Looks like we've got Ryan Harrihill moving down there in the
First a payoff pitch, and he blew right by him again. There's that velocity. Swing and a miss. Riley Hunsaker goes down on strikes for the second time. A lightning fast 1-2-3 inning, exactly what the doctor ordered for Matsu. We're going right back to the bottom of the fifth. We're halfway home here in Palmer, but the action is far from over as the Miners continue to try and chip away at this lead. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. Halfway home in Palmer, Herman Brothers Field, home of your Matsu Miners, as we're on to the bottom of the fifth. 12-2 they trail the league-leading Anchorage Bucs, but riding the momentum of a productive bottom of the fourth and a lightning-quick top of the fifth. Drake Kerr, Kellen Strohmeyer, Ryan Richard, the heart of the order against a new man on the bump. Eduardo Torres relieves Eli Lipinski, and this is a pitcher the Miners have hit extremely well this season. Torres, so far on the year for the Bucs, has made 4 appearances, a 2.45 ERA and 3 2/3 innings. Has allowed 1 earned run, but the Miners got him pretty good. That's a rocket off the bat of Drake Kerr, but it will not leave the yard, unfortunately, right into the glove of Ryan Callahan for a loud first out. He's had a lot of very deep flyouts in this game. Between that and the sliding catch by Callahan in foul territory back in the third, not been Drake Kerr's day.
You know, he has been swinging it well, putting good contact on the ball, though. I mean, it's just not part of his game. You know, elevating the ball might not be part of his game, but he is making solid contact, getting his pitching going. So it's all a matter of a small adjustment.
Kellen Strohmeyer has been hitting the ball well today as well. Popped out to short in the first, but had a double in the third. Nothing came of that, but he's looking to string that along with some other hits in this inning. The 1-0. Down the first base line, fielded by the first baseman Eisenstadt. He wins the foot race. 2 quick outs on the side of Torres. To bring Ryan Richard to the plate. A single, a fly out for the Louisiana man.
Shortstop.
He was the subject of my pregame interview today, and unfortunately, the microphone kit that we used had some kind of malfunction, which resulted in the country music being deafeningly loud on top of him and I talking. So I want to pay him back at some point this season because he did have a lot of great things to say, a great guy to talk to. Trying to make sure everybody on the Matsu Miners gets on air one way or another before the end of this season. That might be difficult because I don't know how many playoff games we're going to play, but that is my goal.
And, you know, I think a lot of us, we're looking to play at least 4 because we're looking to win all of these
0-2 in
games.
for strike 3. 3 quick strikes to Ryan Richard. Eduardo Torres, another lightning-fast inning. The 5th inning between Ben Dete and Eduardo Torres, that could not have been longer than 10 minutes. And the Miners' offense briefly halted in its tracks, but they've got 4 more innings to try and clear that run rule threshold and get back into this game. Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube will return. Top of the 6th, that is Ryan Harrahill on the bump as the bullpen continues to be emptied in this game. Harrahill out of Nebraska relieves Ben Dete after a lightning-fast 1-2-3 inning. Harrahill, in his own right, has been one of the better relievers this season for Matsu. A 3.72 ERA, has made 11 appearances now after this one in this game, which is second this season to Drew Kennan. Has allowed 9 earned runs and 18 strikeouts across 19 1/3 innings. will get Brett Castillo, Rob Vandegrift, and Josh Hankins, 8-9-1, due up against him.
And, you know, Dete, he had that great inning last inning. He's been hot all year. And, you know, ever since you mentioned Drew Kennan, ever since him and Drew Kennan got their new tattoos, I think that this might be the next start for them. This might be the next part of the season they're just going to take off even more.
Now,
and I'm not sure how much.
Out of curiosity, when did that happen?
Well, so actually it happened about last week, and I was a little confused at first. I asked Dete, I said, "Hey, is that a draft?" And he goes, "No, it's not a draft. It's actually Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbs."
Line into left field off the bat, and Riker Scow makes a nice diving catch out in left field. Riker Scow robbing Brett Castillo of a base hit. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
but
and
an
that's a
excellent
great
defensive play. One away.
That's a great play. But, yeah, so I said, was that a draft? And he goes, "No, it's actually Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbs." So we were cracking up about that, and then Drew got the little Smokey the Bear last week. And, you know, ever since then, they've been throwing the ball really well. So I'm excited to see what happens for the rest of the year for those two.
That is an interesting story. That's the unlocking the key to their powers. First pitch inside to Rob Vandegrift. I will say, though, that if that happened lately, those two have been on fire throughout most of the season. Drew Kennan is not allowed an earned run all year. He's been the best reliever in the ABL this season by that metric, so I shudder to think about how he could get even better from that. A 2-0 pitch on the way from Ryan Harrahill.
Yeah, there's only so much room for improvement for Drew Kennan. I mean, he's been great all year.
Finds the zone on that. Vandegrift, an error reached on in the second, a single and a strikeout in the fourth at the hands of Nolan Murphy.
And, you know, speaking of guys that have been great all year, I mean, Ryan Harrahill comes out here every single day and performs.
That's a high fly ball. Will stay in the yard. Coming on is Scow again, and he'll make the catch, covering a lot of ground. The Utah man responsible for the first two outs in what is 2/3 of another 1-2-3 frame here in the sixth.
And, you know, another admirable part of Ryan Harrahill's game is the way that he conducts himself. I mean, he comes out every day and he gets his work done in a very professional manner and a very professional, you know, the way that he carries himself, you can tell the aspirations that he has for himself. And it's really cool to see, especially in a young man like him coming out of his, I believe, freshman year at Nebraska.
Fires in a strike to Josh Hankins, who has 2 hits in this game. Harrahill, a class act like everybody on the Mat-Su Miners. Not interacted with anybody on this team this season that I have not thoroughly enjoyed talking to. And I imagine that's similar inside the clubhouse.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, the inner workings of this clubhouse, I mean, there's so many facets of the diverse personalities within the clubhouse. But I think that the mix that we have and the diversity, it makes us that much closer.
0-2, swing and a miss and a pitch in the dirt. The tag applied by Logan Vaughn, and Ryan Harrahill completes the 1-2-3 frame. Since the 5th inning, the Bucs do not have as much as a base runner, let alone a run. A golden opportunity for the Miners to take advantage. They've got 6 more outs before the game ends via the run rule, but I've got a funny feeling they're going to score a run before that, and this game is going to go the distance. You're watching Mat-Su Miners Baseball here on YouTube. Don't go anywhere. Patrizi, the leadoff man, as he was in the 4th inning. He later came around to score. So here's hoping that things will continue on that same trajectory for him here. Patrizi 2 for 2 with a pair of singles and that run, leading off against Eduardo Torres, and he takes strike 1.
And I don't think anybody would be too upset with seeing Don Bertuzzi on the base pass again. He's just an absolute, little ball of chaos out there in all reality. I mean, he's stealing bags, he's breaking up double plays, he's scoring runs. You get him on the base pass, you don't know what he's going to do.
The ABL's RBI leader popped him up into shallow right field. Going on it are Castillo as well as the center fielder Hunsaker, and that is not shallow by any stretch of the imagination. That just kept on carrying off the bat of Patrizzi. I lost that in the cloudy sky. I thought it was a routine play, but that was just a few feet shy of a home run. It's a leadoff double for Patrizzi, 3 for 3. He has had himself a game.
That's a wonderful piece of hitting right there. Staying inside of that ball, driving it out to right center field. That's exactly what you want to do with that pitch as a hitter, and he did just that. So seeing him on second base and running in scoring position, it's always nice to have that, especially with Mr. Christian Perez up to the plate.
Hit number 7, and Perez is going to crank one out to right field. Back on it, Castillo turning around. And that's off the very top of the wall. Perez into second, Patrizzi rounding third. He will score with ease. Back-to-back doubles off of Eduardo Torres. And the Miners have found something here in the 6th. 12-3.
Found something they have, and that's one thing that they've done is they've crept out of that possibility of the run rule, and now it's time to get back into this game. Even cutting this lead in half would be great right here. So the goal is to keep them out there as long as we can, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We got a man on second in scoring position once again with no outs. Riker Scow's been hot as of recently, and I'm excited to see what he does.
Bucs bats have been ice cold as Scow now lifts one out into right field. Going back on a Castillo, and that's over his head. Rounding first, heading for second now is Scow. Christian Perez is getting waved home. He will come in to score. The throw at the plate will not be in time. 3 straight doubles. The Miners have figured out Eduardo Torres, and they have scored 2 runs with no signs of slowing down. This is right on the precipice of becoming a whole new ball game, Rocco.
And you want to talk about, just taking that 4 or 5 hits away, 4 or 5 hits away. We talked about this before, and sometimes you're always just 4 or 5 hits away. So we got 3 in a row, and now let's I don't know, maybe get 4 or 5 more, We get 4 or 5 more, we might be winning this ball game, Charlie. I don't know what you think, but I think so.
It's right on the edge of becoming realistic, I think, in my opinion. But if they can get a couple more runs in this inning, they've already got 2. Christian Perez, the hustle play, legging out that ball. He had just left second base when that ball went down because they didn't want to get doubled off. Castillo almost made that catch, but he turned on the Jets, and Poppy scored all the way from second base to make this a 12-4 ball game. Eduardo Torres has allowed 3 straight rockets, extra base hits, off the bat of the 3-2 up Patrizzi.
And I don't know if I'm seeing this properly, but is that Ryan Richard warming up in the bullpen?
It may very well be. That could certainly throw a wrench.
That's number 2 right there. That could throw a wrench in it,
throwing the Miners' plans. But we will cross that bridge when we get to it. The Miners with even more incentive now to. I won't say that. I don't know how good Ryan Richard is as a pitcher. No, we've seen it at MLB. Position player pitchers have been nearly unhittable this season. So maybe we could see an excellent performance on the mound for him. But back to the action here. Logan Vaughn last time up had an RBI single. He's going to fly one off to the left side into foul territory. The third baseman makes the grab for out number 1. A quiet put out for Logan Vaughn, but the runner stays where he is at second base. That will bring Nick Bisaccia to the plate. Now, do you know anything about how good of a pitcher Ryan Richard is? Have you seen him throw?
Honestly, I have seen his arm, and I have seen him throw, and I'll tell you one thing, he is an athlete, and athletes make great pitchers because all pitchers are athletes. And that's something we like to, always mention whenever we talk about the athletic capabilities of pitchers is that we are athletes as much as people may not think. But I will say he's got a great arm. It's a lively arm, but I'm really excited to see what Nick Bisaccia does here with this 0-1.
0-2 now. The sidearm delivery finds the zone. 2 plate appearances, or 2 pitches, I should say, in a row. Nick Bisaccia has not found his way to first base in either of his 2 plate appearances. A strikeout and a flyout today. He has a runner at second. Riker Scow ducks out of the way of pitch number 3. Bisaccia,
once again, a couple inches away from another base runner.
Absolutely, and barring some bizarre double play, the inning will get to Chase Wilcox and the top of the order. Bisaccia trying to get it there with only 1 out and maybe another run home. 2-2 the count. He's evened it against Torres, who after a lightning-quick 5th inning has got himself into some serious trouble for the Bucs. 3 straight doubles to lead off this frame. Now he's pitching with 1 out, and Bisaccia gets under that, out to left center field. Going on it, Hunsaker underneath. He will make the grab. Thought about tagging for a second there, did Scow, but not even his lightning-fast wheels could have got him there before the throw. So he will stay at second base with 2 outs. Chase Wilcox, another chance to be the hero.
You know, he did say there, but the one thing is, though, with his speed, a base hit scores him. So any base hit by Chase Wilcox here will score Riker Scow almost indefinitely. I'm really excited because, I mean, Wilcox is just hot right now. He's just finding a way to get this ball into play and get on base. So
1 for 3 today he is. A leadoff single, came around to score in the first, has ground out and flied it out. But especially you say he'll be running on contact with 2 outs. Scow is as good as gone if any ball leaves the infield, as this one might. Instead, it'll be stopped by the third baseman, throws on to first. An excellent defensive play by Hankins to Eisenstadt to strike down Chase Wilcox and end the threat, but 3 straight doubles yield 2 more runs for the Miners. They have got this game under the run rule threshold, 12-4. They continue to chip away, and I tell you what, if the relievers keep doing their thing, this could be a new ball game very soon. Top of the 7th coming right up. You're watching Mat-Su Miners Baseball on YouTube. Top of the 7th at Herman Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska. We had a Ryan on the mound last inning, and now we have another. This time, however, he is making his pitching debut. Ryan Richard, we saw him getting warmed up in the bullpen, and now the righty will take the mound. And right away, I'm seeing he does have a pitching delivery. He doesn't look like he's throwing batting practice balls. Of course, anybody at this level will be able to throw. But Rocco, we were talking about it between innings. What do you think of this move?
I love it, you know, and I don't think that anybody else should be out there pitching right now other than Ryan Richard, because he comes here, he works every day, and now he gets a chance to not only play in today's game and hit, but now he gets to play on the mound, and it's something he hasn't done since high school, and it's probably a great feeling. You know, if I got an at-bat right now, I don't know how big my smile would be, because I wouldn't be able to stop smiling, but I don't think there's any smiling for Ryan Richard just yet, because he's determined to get a couple quick outs and get back into that dugout and get our team back swinging.
He's got Cole Carlone, Ryan Callahan, and Tommy Eisenstadt due up. So welcome to the mound, Ryan Richard. Here's the best hitter in the ABL, at least the best power hitter in the ABL for you to deal with. Cole Carlone is 2 for 3, a single, a double, a flyout, and a walk. He has scored a run. We do have a scouting report on Richard, courtesy of Darlene Richard in the YouTube chat. He was an excellent pitcher in high school, not as high on the velocity, but has a lot of variety of pitches. And that is something the Miners are going to get to see firsthand now, as Richard starts him off with a high pitch above the zone, 1-0 to Carlone.
Looks like he's got a little bit of zip on that.
He does. That looked very fast. So he's been putting in the work, and he coaxes a pop out here into shallow center field. The second baseman, Patrizzi, calling for it, and he's got a 2-pitch out from number 2. Carlone retired. That will bring Ryan Callahan to the plate. He has been hit by a pitch, walked, doubled, and grounded out. He scored a run in each of the first 3 innings, but dating back to the 4th inning, Callahan actually started this streak. 9 straight putouts between Nolan Murphy, Ben DeTay, Ryan Harrahill, and now Ryan Richard.
I'm a big fan of the simplicity of Ryan Richard's windup. I mean, it's just 1, 2, step and go.
And he really does have some zip on that ball. I think the scouting report might be a bit outdated because his velocity, we don't have a gun up here or anything, but it looks right up there with the relievers we've seen. The 2-0 gets him to swing through.
I believe that was a changeup.
Yeah. Oh, he does have a variety. He's got a second pitch. The Cajun changing. 2-1. Just missed it. And now calling for a pitch, or calling for a coach. I really hope he's not hurt. But he is walking directly into the dugout, calling for a coach. He is talking with his coaches now, walking, and he's shaking his arm off. So it does appear that he has some kind of injury. Oh. He immediately walked right off the diamond. He was wringing out his hand very hard as he walked off the field. That did not look good, whatever it was.
Oh, no.
So the fun is unfortunately over. Whatever injury that was, it definitely hurt enough for him to immediately walk off the field. He knew something was wrong, and right on cue, without warming up at all, it appears that is going to be Luke Smith coming on in relief of Richard. So
well, I'll tell you one thing about Luke Smith is Luke Smith is ready for any action at any time, and he's going to get out here and get the job done. I believe, though, with the injury replacement, he gets all the time that he needs.
Absolutely, yes, that is the rule, so he will get as many warm-up pitches as he wants, and we're actually going to throw this to a quick break as he gets warmed up and ready to go. We hope Ryan Richard is okay. Luke Smith will be on the bump when we come back. You're watching Mat-Su Miners Baseball on YouTube. To the action in the top of the 7th. Luke Smith is all warmed up, and this plate appearance is ready to resume. It is a 3-1 count on Ryan Callahan after Ryan Richard had to exit the game due to an injury. We hope he is okay. Whatever it was made him immediately stop throwing and run off the field, so not what you like to see if you're a Miners fan, but he will definitely be all right. The training staff of the Mat-Su Miners, one of the best in the business, so they will get him fixed up any way they need to. I'm not going to speculate on exactly what happened, but instead we will get right back to the action. Luke Smith, the lefty out of Incarnate Word, going to throw a 3-1 and find the zone against Ryan Callahan to bring the count full. Smith, as my co-commentator Rocco Bernardina mentioned before, is always ready for everything. A 2.93 ERA this season, and there he finds the edge of the zone, strike 3. So inserted into the fire, a 3-1 count. He's able to throw 2 straight strikes and retire Ryan Callahan. Talk about the call of duty. He is ready to deliver, and Smith's got out number 2 in the 7th.
Now batting first baseman number 29, Tommy Eisenstadt.
That is strikeout number 7 for the Miners, and it will bring Tommy Eisenstadt to the plate. The Bucs do not have a base runner since the 4th inning, let alone a run. And the PA announcer talking about hamburgers during the plate appearance. Definitely not a great move there, but Tommy Eisenstadt was able to fight through the distraction and foul off pitch number 1. Luke Smith working quickly. The lefty leaves pitch number 2 in the dirt. As I was saying, though, Smith in 15 1/3 innings, this is his 12th appearance of the season, which breaks the tie with Ryan Harrahill, who made his 11th earlier in the season, has allowed just 5 earned runs, 17 strikeouts. A very dependable reliever for Mat-Su. There's strike 2. Eisenstadt has flied out, grounded out, and singled twice. Brody Briggs is on deck should he reach, but Bucs have had a devil of a time trying to make it to first base against the Miners pitchers, and that is strike 3. The third base umpire, or strike 2, I should say. Apologies on that one. 2-2 the count. Deuces all the way, or whatever the
Once again, we
saying
got
is.
deuces wild. I'm sorry, I'm back. I took a little break here,
Deuces
and
Wild. Just in time to watch Deuces Wild come to fruition, but now it'll become a full count. Luke Smith, you missed him throw 2 straight strikes to strike out Ryan Callahan in the plate appearance he inherited. You talk about how he's always ready for everything. He showed that there. And the full count coming, trying to get his 2nd straight K since being inserted into this game. Instead, he'll issue a walk. So Tommy Eisenstadt down to first, the first base runner for the Bucs since the 4th inning. A 2-out man aboard, and Brody Briggs comes to the plate.
Catcher number 5.
you know, fortunately enough, yes, you did have that walk right there, but it's still a left-on-left matchup, which is always favorable towards the pitching side, and Luke Smith has always been dominant against lefties. I mean, all year he's been doing a great job, and I think he's got it pretty much in the bag for this one.
Smith starts him off with a pitch just low. Brody Briggs, a strikeout, a ground out, has reached on a fielder's choice, singled in the first, later scored. Bucs have been stuck at 12 in that score column for a while. Would be 3 full innings if they are not able to score here.
And, I mean, he's
1-1.
just attacking with that fastball, going right at him, wasting no time. And this 1-1 here, I mean, we talk about the action count. I'm sure he's going to get some action here, and hopefully it's an out.
The lefty leaves one outside, so I'll have to work a little bit harder for that out, but he inherited that 3-1 count left to him by Ryan Richard and was able to parlay that into a strikeout. So definitely capable of fighting back in the count with a man on first and 2 outs. The 2-1, missed it wide again.
Capable he is, and something he's also capable of is making quick adjustments. So, I mean, there's those two pitches that miss a little pool side. Yeah, he threw it to the glove lane, and, I mean, I'm sure he's right here back ready to get one in the zone and get back into this count.
3-1, runner goes. That is a swinging bunt to the left side, fielded by Bisaccia, throwing across. What a play that was! That was Chase Wilcox actually at third base. The infield got shuffled because of Ryan Richard moving to the pitcher's mound, but Chase Wilcox scooped that out of the grass. A swinging bunt, threw it to Perez at first in time for the inning-ending putout. What a play by the infield defense for Mat-Su, keeping the Bucs off the scoreboard once again. And this game officially will not end via the run rule after the 7th. On the other side of the stretch, the Miners are going to try and get some more momentum going their way. 12-4 here in Palmer. You're watching Mat-Su Miners Baseball on YouTube. other side of the stretch, we're back to the action in Palmer. Your Matsu Miners trail the Anchorage Bucs 12-4, but it was as bad as 12-11 a few innings ago, and they have made significant strides toward making this an interesting game. And Rocco, like you say, every time before, it only really takes a couple swings for them to get back into this game. And Drake Kerr, the perfect guy you want leading off an inning like this. Just 3 more innings left for the Miners to make a game of this. But Drake Kerr will bat against Brett Castillo. For the second straight inning, we will see someone move from a position in the field to the mound. Castillo, one of the newest members of the Bucs, is on the bump, and Cole Carlone takes his place out in right field. Kerr is 0 for 3 with a pair of flyouts and a strikeout, but whenever he gets that first hit, all he needs is a trip to first, and he will start wreaking havoc.
And a couple swings is exactly right. We just need a couple swings, couple hits, get back in this game, and there's nobody to start it off better than Drake Kerr.
That swing yields a foul ball from Kerr. The Bucs have been held scoreless ever since the 4th inning. Miners in that time have managed 3 runs. Are not in any risk of the game ending after this frame, as that ball goes all the way to the backstop, 2-1, which they would have been if they had not scored 2 runs an inning ago. You never want to get run ruled in your home ballpark. That's something the Miners have done to the Chinooks twice this season. The Bucs have run ruled a few teams in their day, but have not done it to Matsu yet, and it looks as though that trend will continue. Though the Miners, of course, have much more lofty goals for this game than simply avoiding a run rule. They are looking to make a contest of this, and a couple swings away from doing just that. 2-2 on its way from Castillo. Lefty fires, and that's on the ground to third. Fielded throwing on to Eisenstadt in time. Drake Kerr not able to leg it out. He is 0 for 4 with another ground out. That will bring up Kellen Strohmeyer, who has a double, a ground out, and a pop out today.
Number 31.
Against Brett Castillo, making his 4th appearance of the season. He has thrown just 5 innings coming into today, allowed 1 earned run. Not a very large sample size. Strohmeyer and Richard after him, although I assume we'll be seeing a injury replacement in that lineup spot. 1-0. Lefty fires high and tight, and like you've said so many times, we were a couple inches away from having a base runner there, weren't we?
Yes, we were, and that was close. That one was very close. Close to the head and a little bit too close for comfort, so I don't blame him for getting out of the way on that one. We got a 2-0 count here. I mean, it's an opportunity to look to do some damage on a pitch, but you got to get your pitch. You know, you got to get that pitch that you know you could put a really good swing on.
Let's see if that pitch comes to Strohmeyer. So far it hasn't. 3 balls and no strikes. Definitely understand when a baseball... I personally have never experienced the feeling of having a baseball hurtling toward my head at upwards of 90 miles an hour, but I think if I ever did, I would duck out of the way too. The 3-0. That is low, but in the zone. Strohmeyer thought he had ball 4, but he'll have to wait a little bit longer.
Getting to that 3-1 count, though, I mean, you still can be selective. You still can look for your pitch, and, I mean, that's exactly what Kellen's going to do here.
A hitter's count for him. The 3-1 is high, and that will be ball 4. Strohmeyer digs in and draws a 1-out walk. He's aboard for the second time.
That's a quality at bat. Now we got Brandon Durant coming up here, and, I mean, he has just been an offensive powerhouse all year. He's been looking to put a charge into a baseball every single at bat, and I think that he's done that a good bit of times. Would you agree?
It's funny you say the word charge, because we in the press box, Dylan and I have referred to him as the generator. He's always there, ready to create offense out of nothing, and he does that with home runs. He'll ground one to the gap between first and second, the lead runner able to be thrown out on that instance. Kellen Strohmeyer is the unfortunate victim of that fielder's choice. Durand able to reach courtesy of that choice by the fielders, but unfortunately it resets the situation. Don Patrizzi, however, is 3 for 3, a single, and a double, has scored 2 runs in this game. He's been the engine for Matsu as the wind is beginning to pick up here. You can actually see it in the umpire. The clothes rippling off of him, the flag out in center field billowing as well. That wind coming in from left center field. If Patrice can get a hold of one to the opposite field here. It could carry a bit further than normal. That pitch just outside, 1-1.
And Patrizzi has been known to have a lot of opposite field power. I mean, I've seen him take balls to the track a couple of different times. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he cuts his lead in half right here.
1-1. Patrizzi with Christian Perez due up. Patrizzi is the first of 3 straight doubles that started the last inning off of Eduardo Torres. Another one of those would do wonders for Matsu. The 2-1. Up the middle, fielded by the shortstop. He will toss to the second baseman to end the inning. The Miners don't get a run, but the game continues courtesy of their work an inning ago. 12-4 the score remains. We head to the 8th. And from here on out, just to remind everybody how the run rule works, if the Bucs score 2 or more runs in an inning from here on out, the game will not immediately end. The Miners will have a chance to answer because they are the home team. But that is always at the back of the Miners' minds as they try to complete their miraculous comeback in this game. Currently an 8-run deficit they need to overcome. But never say never, and who's that on the mound, Rocco?
And this was a great conference that I just witnessed. So this is Kyle McCausland. Kyle McCausland comes out to the mound, gets ready to pitch, and Logan asks him, he says, hey, what pitches do you throw? And he gives him the signal of just a little rainbow. I'm just throwing this ball over the plate. I got to get it down a little bit, he says here. So we're excited to see what Kyle's capable of doing. Maybe he can get us a 0, and then we get back out here and try and cut this lead down and get back in this ball game. So
Matsumoto's baseball. We'll be right back. On to the 8th inning, Kyle McCausland, the latest position player to take the bump for Matsu. Just to clear up the defensive changes that happened last inning, it is indeed Chase Wilcox at third. The second baseman is now Nick Bisaccia, with Don Patrizzi moving over to short and Christian Perez staying at first. So the casualty of that move to second is Ryan Richard, of course, who is now out of the game. Kyle McCausland starts the leadoff man, Will Burns, with 2 straight balls. Burns has drawn a walk, hit a double, been hit by a pitch, and struck out today. And got to say, unlike the display we saw by Ryan Richard, Kyle McCausland looks a bit more along the lines of what you'd expect a position player throwing pitches to look like, although he found the outside corner with that one.
And I think he's going to do it a couple more times. I think that he has actually some good feel for this pitch.
High looping curve. 3-1.
You know, and we say curve. I think this might just be a palm ball.
Yeah, I say curveball. That is what it did. That's a rocket out to left center field off the bat of Burns. Going back on it, that's going to drop into the gap. Fielded by Riker Scow, a leadoff double for Will Burns to start this 8th inning. Kyle McCausland allows some solid contact early on, but he's got some time ahead of him to get the feel for his pitches. Like you said, he's throwing the palm ball right now, which is something new that I'm sure not a lot of the Bucs pitchers have seen so far this season. Whether or not that's a good thing is up to you. Burns has his second double of the day, and now it will be Riley Hunsaker taking a pitch right down the middle.
And I think the thing with McCausland here is, I mean, this pitch is deceiving because it's right in front of you, but it's still a moving ball, and you got to hit a round ball with a round bat. It's one of the hardest things to do in all of sports. So, I mean, the fact that Burns can even put a swing on a ball, it's still just as impressive. I mean, maybe a little less, but, I mean, it's a hard task to do.
Rocket foul down the right field line. McCausland has him at the 1-2 count. Brett Castillo due up, we assume, although the Bucs may pinch hit for him.
Blake bolts down the line right there, made sure that he got in position to let that ball go directly between his legs.
That one was really close.
Was very close.
Right on the outside. did not get the call. McCausland trying to dig in at 2-2. That one also missed.
Just outside.
A payoff pitch for the Middlebury man to Riley Hunsaker, who has a single in the first and nothing since. 2 strikeouts and a ground out, and he's going to have another ground out here as Christian Perez will take it himself. Runner advances to third, but a first out recorded by Kyle McCausland. You know, coaxing that weak contact, that's exactly what you want in a situation like this.
And I'll tell you, I mean, no matter who you are, if you're pitching, you would love to put up a 0. So, I mean, Kyle's not looking to give up this run here. He's looking to get something done. So, hopefully Kyle can get it out here.
There are 2 pitchers for the Miners that are normally pitchers that could not say that. That's going to be another ground out. A run is going to score on this as Bisaccia throws on to Perez for out number 2. Crossing the plate is Will Burns to make this a 13-4 ball game. But 2 quick outs via the ground out for Kyle McCausland after that leadoff double. He has found his stride, it appears.
He does seem to be just collecting these outs.
Rob Vandegrift takes strike 1. But Aiden Dolinsky, Nolan Murphy, neither of them could say they did not allow a run. That's a high fly ball going to be into a glove of someone. Did they make that catch? No. Riker Scow did not. There was a collision out there. Riker Scow and Drake Kerr were both going for that ball. None of them called for it. Looks like they're all okay.
Looks like it wasn't too bad of a collision, which is very, very good for our entire program. We don't want anybody getting hurt, especially in a game where we're down 9 runs.
Absolutely. With the playoffs on the way, you want a full ship. Josh Hankins to bat for the 6th time, just the 2nd time since the 4th inning. He has 2 singles, a hit by pitch, a strikeout, and a pop out.
You know, along with the gratitude for nobody being hurt, I'd be pretty thankful if we gotten out here. So I think Kyle's going to piece one together here.
You know, I tell you what, he's obviously not throwing the ball with any sort of grip or spin, but he is finding the strike zone, which is more than a lot of people can say. And he's just coaxed an inning-ending flyout, it appears. Drake Kerr goes back, and he indeed makes the catch. Kyle McCausland allows 1 run, but all things considered, that was not too bad. The lead does increase to 13-4, but as we head to the bottom of the 8th, Matsu will have a trio of Patrizi, Perez, and Scow due up as they try to make this game a bit more respectable. You're watching Matsu Miners Baseball on YouTube. Bottom 8 in Palmer, 13-4 your score. The Anchorage Bucs in front of your Matsu Miners as this game enters its closing stages. Charlie Fellows, Rocco Bernardino on the call with you. It'll be Christian Perez, Riker Scow, and Logan Vaughn. Apologies for misspeaking back in the 7th. Those are the 3 due up against Brett Castillo. And Perez has himself a double, a walk, and a ground out today. With the Miners still with a chance to make a game of this. Would like some runs however they can get them. High and tight pitch from Castillo starts Perez off 1-0. Since the 4th inning, the Bucs have only 1 run in this game, and that was off a position player. So the Miners have to be proud of how they're pitching locked down and stop the bleeding. Unfortunately, though, 12 runs were already in by the time that came to pass. So the Miners in a big hole. Perez, little bloop shot the opposite way, right into the glove of a member of the Anchorage Bucs who was standing on the edge of the dugout, but was not in the field of play. 0-1. 2-1, I should say, and make it a 3-1. Perez with a good eye, looking to draw that ultra useful leadoff walk. Nothing good ever came of one of those. If you are an Anchorage Bucs fan, the Miners would love to see that. The 3-1 from the lefty Castillo. And that indeed does miss low. So a 5-pitch walk drawn by Christian Perez, his second of the day. A leadoff man aboard here in the 8th.
And as a pitcher, being out there a long time is just as difficult as not being out there a long time, because you have to be able to come back out and throw strikes again after all that time of rest. So I think that's something that's going on right now. We drew that first walk and got a base runner on, and I think that's exactly what's happening with Castillo. And he might find the zone a little better here, but I don't know. It's a tough recovery after that wait time.
Castillo is not allowed to hit yet. Strohmeyer drew a walk in the 7th, and Brandon Durand reached on a fielder's choice. But Riker Scow, the third of those 3 straight doubles back in the 6th off of Eduardo Torres. Now he'll look at a 1-0 pitch, the tie again. Like you said, showing a bit of rust, having trouble finding the strike zone. Riker Scow up there with the best of them in the ABL in terms of drawing walks. He has drawn 12 of them in this season. The 2-0. 1 pitch away from drawing number 13. Bucs with no activity in their bullpen, although some people are starting to move down there. Neither team wants to exhaust its bullpen, which is very clear on the side of the Miners. That pitch is very low. A 4-pitch walk to follow up a 5-pitch walk. Miners have not swung at a pitch yet in this inning, and they are being rewarded.
And going back to that rust, it's hard to knock off. I don't know if you've ever cleaned anything rusty, but it took a little elbow grease to get that off, and I think that's actually what's going on right now.
A little bit of WD-40 needed for Brett Castillo. He's walked the first 2 men he's faced. Prior to him entering the game in the 7th, the Bucs had not walked anyone, and they have now walked 3 across the last inning and change. Logan Vaughn has a single, a flyout, and a pop-out today.
No movement going on down there in the bullpen, so it looks like Castillo will be sticking it out. And, I think that
with a 9-run lead, I suppose that does make sense.
Oh, yeah, and I think that Logan Vaughn's actually very excited to get this show on the road and maybe get us started with something hot right here. He's had a couple good swings, and now he's on the other side of the plate.
Vaughn could make a little bit of a dent in this lead with a solid base hit. He has an RBI hit in this game already, and the comebacks can happen. We saw it a couple days ago when the Oilers ended up winning a game 16-12 down in Kenai against the Pilots. They were down by a lot in this game as that's grounded through the hole on the left side for a base hit. Stopping at third there is Christian Perez, but another hit for Logan Vaughn, his second of the day, loads the bases with nobody out. Nick Bisaccia and then the top of the order due up.
Nick Bisaccia is one of those guys that we've seen put the long ball into play. He's made a part of his game this year, and, I don't know if you recall, but I saw that ball that he hit the other day. That was right off the top of the fence. You don't see that every day.
And one of those would absolutely change the tenor of this game from 13-4 to 13-8. That ball gets away from the catcher Briggs, so 1 run is going to score. Christian Perez touches the plate on a wild pitch from Brett Castillo. The Miners get another one back, 13-5 the score now.
And I'll tell you, if anything, a walk is going to hurt you crucially here because you're going to call Chase Wilcox up to the plate with no outs and bases loaded. That's not something that you ever want to do as any pitcher.
Nick Bisaccia 0 for 3. The 1-0 coming his way, and that finds the zone. Just the second strike thrown by Castillo all game. Or all inning, I should say.
A lot of times in situations like this, you want to take until you see a strike, and that's exactly what happened right there.
Held up on that, but an outside strike is the call. Big call against Bisaccia, 1-2. Has 2 runners in scoring position. If he hits it past the infield, at least 1 run will score. Lays off on an outside offering, 2-2.
Outside it was, along with the other one. And I think that sometimes towards the end of these games, you start to see some calls that – get a little more towards the edge, and that's something that's happening right now.
2-2 ripped past the glove of the third baseman. He slipped and fell in the dirt. That's going to score 1 run. On to first, I should say, is Nick Bisaccia, and I'd be interested to see if they give him a hit for that. It would have been a very difficult play, and the run would have scored regardless, but the third baseman, Hankins, slipped on the dirt and could not make that play, and they did indeed give him an error. That will bring the top of the order up. Nick Bisaccia on. It'll be first and second, still with nobody out, and Chase Wilcox, a terrifying proposition for the Bucs, as Bill Springman and the Bucs infield converges on Brett Castillo for a mound conference.
With the score sitting at 13-6 right now, men on first and second, we got Chase Wilcox coming up to the plate. I don't think that they'll take Castillo out, but I think that they will try and conserve as much time as they can, possibly to even get someone ready. It doesn't appear that there's a lot of action going on down in the bullpen, but I'm sure there will be soon if these Miners keep scoring some runs.
Yeah, this is one swing could completely change this game. Right now it is 13-6, really teetering on the edge of being a competitive affair, but Chase Wilcox with the bases loaded, with first and second, can plate at least one run with a hit. The bases are, there are no outs still, so even a fly out could advance the runners. Wilcox, Kerr, and Strohmeyer, the top of the order, on their way. You just don't want to avoid a strikeout, especially want to avoid a ground ball on the right side of the infield. This is potential triple play territory, so you don't want to hit it right at the third baseman either. First offering from Castillo, who did remain in the game, coaxes a fly ball into shallow left field. The left fielder has to squat, but he does make the grab. Ryan Callahan, an unproductive out from Wilcox. He is 1 for 5 in this game. We'll bring up the 0 for 4 Drake Kerr, absolutely needing a hit, but you know what? He doesn't need one here. That first out was unfortunate, but if he wants to, he could still bunt both base runners up a base and let Kellen Strohmeyer try to drive him in, or he could, of course, try to reach base on a bunt, as he enjoys doing so much. Not showing a bunt, though, and instead he'll take a strike. With Strohmeyer on deck, a chance for the Miners to get a couple more. They've already got 2 home in this inning. And that's a fly ball out to right field. This could be trouble. It drops right into the glove instead of the second baseman. So not only is it not trouble, but neither runner gets the chance to advance. Back-to-back unproductive flyouts for the Miners. And it'll be up to Strohmeyer with runners on first and second, 2 outs, to squeeze every last scoring chance out of this inning that he can. A pop out for Kerr. He's 0 for 5. A day to forget for him.
I'll tell you who's not 0 for, and that's Kellen Strohmeyer, looking to put a charge in one here.
He was trying to do just that with that swing. 0-1, a double, a walk, also a ground out and a pop out for the man out of Iowa. Had his Hawkeye teammate through an excellent inning out of the bullpen today. Trying to continue the Hawkeye effect on this game.
Once again, not having 2 strikes is all the more you can ask for as a hitter. It gives you a lot of freedom to really select your pitch and go.
Let's see what he tries to do on this 1-1. He'll loop one right at the second baseman, and that was a catch in the air. Did not hit the ground, but it would have been an out regardless. 3 straight outs made by the Miners, but they do get 2 runs in, 13-6. Goes without saying they'll have their work cut out for them in the bottom of the 9th. But before we get to that, the top of the 9th coming right up. You're watching Mat-Su Miners Baseball on YouTube. final frame at Herman Brothers Field in Palmer, Alaska, home of your Mat-Su Miners, who have one more inning against their fated rivals, the Anchorage Bucs, the two teams that, if the regular season has been any indication, are on a collision course in the top of the World Series championship next week. This is their final chance to tune up against each other, but I highly doubt that Kyle McCausland will be a pitcher the Bucs are expecting to face in that series. He's on for the second straight inning and drops in another strike. Cole Carlone, who Ryan Richard retired back in the 7th, trying to avoid being retired by a position player for 2 straight plate appearances. Strike 2.
And Kyle's just getting ahead of hitters. I mean, if you look at it right now in the 0-2 count, I mean, he's going right at him. He's challenging him.
The best power hitter in the ABL down 0-2, and he's going to ground out. Or no, he won't. That actually had some velocity on it. The second baseman, Bisaccia, gave it everything he had, but that was into right field, so Carlone does get a hit, his 3rd of the game. A leadoff single in the 9th off of McCausland. The 3rd hit allowed by the Middlebury man, normally an outfielder for the Miners. Today, trying his stuff from the mound, and has been all right so far. Has allowed 1 run and 3 hits, but has not walked anybody. Ryan Callahan takes one in the dirt, and Logan Vaughn has had his work cut out for him today with position players on the mound. Richard definitely knew what he was doing, but McCausland has left a few pitches a bit short. Vaughn without a pass ball today, though.
You know, I've been sitting here thinking about what to call this pitch, and I think I'm going to name it. I think it's called the Spoogler.
Now, why exactly did that name come to your head?
Well, I think that's a very fitting name for a ball coming in at that trajectory with that speed. I'd call it the Spoogler.
All right. Well, the Spoogler seems to have coached an infield fly out. Infield fly in effect, and Christian Perez makes the catch for out number 1. Eisenstadt has drawn a walk, singled twice, flied out, and grounded out. We're on to the 6th time through the order for the Bucs. And barring a miraculous comeback in the bottom of the 9th for Mat-Su, it will be the last. Eisenstadt with Briggs due up after him. And
now the umpire is obviously still trying to be clear of the rules.
I thought they were going to call a balk on McCausland there, and
No, just looking for eye contact before the dangerous Spoogler comes into play.
This could be a double play. On to second for 1, and he gets his foot on the bag, but not in time to turn 2. The speed of Eisenstadt able to break that one up, but Carlone is retired. The Spoogler strikes again, 2 away.
Catcher, number 5.
Brody Briggs has grounded out twice, struck out, reached on a fielder's choice, and singled. No hits since the 2nd. He'll rocket one down the line, just foul. And they're going to say that's fair, actually. It's going to roll all the way to the corner, and that really looked like a foul ball to me. Did it go through the wall? Yes, it did.
It did go through the wall.
So that actually saves the Miners a run. A ground rule double. We haven't seen that yet this season. That really looked like a foul ball, but it was just to the left of the line, and it rolled through a chink in the chain link fence, we assume, out by the right side for a ground rule double. Brody Briggs to second, and Eisenstadt, who would have easily scored, will stay at 3rd base. Now McCausland going to have to throw that Spoogler out of the stretch. Will Burns just got a piece of it.
Doesn't seem like any issue for him. Last at bat against Will Burns, I believe Will Burns had a double,
did have a
correct?
double,
So
yes.
Kyle's coming back for some vengeance, and he's got the Spoogler equipped and ready to go.
The 0-1. That's in the dirt.
It's a good miss.
Eisenstadt at 3rd, Briggs at 2nd. McCausland trying to avoid running up that ERA anymore. That one spoogled a bit less.
And I got news. That's not something he's looking forward to doing. He's not putting that ERA up at all, and he wants to go right at him. So that's what he's going to do here with this 1-2 pitch, 2 outs.
1-2 from McCausland. And he coaxes a fly out into left center field. Scow going on, and he can't make the catch. That's over his head. It's going to be another double and score 2 runs. Will Burns has had McCausland's number, been able to do something that the rest of the Bucs, for in large part, have not. The double plates 2. The score now 15-6 here at Herman Brothers Field. So, unfortunately, McCausland unable to escape. Spoogled a little bit too much on that one, and unfortunately paid for it.
Yeah, maybe it's time to just go and just attack these hitters and maybe think a little bit less about the old Spoogel action, I guess.
That one drops in for a strike. The most runs scored by any team in the ABL this season was 16. That happened just a couple days ago when the Peninsula Oilers did that in that nonsensical 16-12 final. The score bug that we have on this broadcast only goes up to 20, but we think Kyle McCausland will escape long before that comes into play. Ground ball off to the right side foul, 1-2.
Almost a great play by the first base coach. Not great enough, though.
Miners will take wins where they can get it here tonight. 2 out. A man on second. That is McCausland's nemesis, Will Burns, and he coaxes a line out right to the second baseman. Bisaccia on to first, and McCausland escapes once again. 2 runs come in to score in the ninth to make it 15-6. But all things considered, for what is absolutely his debut pitching-wise, at least at the college level, based on the Spoogler action we were seeing, not bad at all from the man out of Middlebury. Bottom of the ninth coming right up. You're watching Mat-Su Miners Baseball on YouTube. Bottom of the ninth, 3 outs remain between the Mat-Su Miners and a 15-6 loss. But, Rocco, do you believe in miracles?
I believe in plenty of miracles, and I actually don't even think it would be any kind of miracle other than just some Mat-Su Miner magic.
Well, the one handicap the Miners do have is that there is another position player on the mound. This time it's Riley Huntsaker making his first pitching appearance of the season, and he leaves it low for a ball to Kyle McCausland, who is batting in Brandon Duran's spot. Had some entertaining innings from the bump during the 8th and 9th.
There's nothing more frustrating as a pitcher than throwing to another pitcher, and that's what's going on right here for Mr. Huntsaker.
McCausland flied that into shallow right field. This could be trouble, but instead the right fielder is able to close the gap. Cole Carlone makes the catch. So McCausland, he goes down, but, you know, pitchers, they aren't expected to hit, you know. He's making his money on the mound, so we'll let him slide on that one.
Now, Patrizzi, he's been making the money at the dish, and he's been doing a pretty good job of it, so I'm excited to see what he does with this at-bat here.
Patrizzi made his first out back in the 7th, had been 3 for 3 prior to that with a double and 2 singles. Scored a third of the 6 runs the Miners have managed in this game. Takes a ball 1-1. Patrizi and Perez due up after him. 2 more outs before the Miners can go home. Fouled that one back into the concourse. 15-6 right now, the score. This is now officially the second highest scoring game in the ABL this season. The 1-2, inside take from the man out of Lehigh. And the Miners will be looking ahead to tomorrow's doubleheader with the Chinooks as a pair of get-right games. That's a team they've played rather well. On the ground to short, fielded by Burns, throws over to Eisenstadt. Patrizi tried to outrun it, but did not. 2 away. And just a reminder to stay with us after the final pitch is thrown. We will have a member of the Mat-Su Miners, likely head coach Ty LeBrun, up in the booth with us. Not that we haven't had a member of the Mat-Su Miners in the booth with us all game long, but Ty LeBrun likely will be up to talk about what happened in this game and looking ahead for the rest of the season. You'll want to hear that. Christian Perez takes strike 1.
Baseman number 29, Christian Perez.
Perez has walked, doubled, flat out, and grounded out. Scored a run in the 8th. Miners down to their last out. 1-1.
And I'll tell you, for a position player, he's slinging it in here
Yes.
pretty well for a lefty.
He has not pitched for the Bucs so far this season, but he definitely has some. And that's going to be strike 3. The third base umpire said that Perez went around. Brody Briggs applies the tag, and that, my friends, will do it. That is all she wrote for the Miners against the Bucs. Anchorage takes the season series 6-4 with back-to-back blowout wins here at Herman Brothers Field. 15-6 the final, and the Bucs really had the Miners' number here at home, so it might not be the worst thing in the world that Mat-Su, who is 5-0 against the Bucs, or I should say 3-2 against the Bucs down at Mulcahy, will be heading down there if the 2 teams meet in the top of the World Series championship. That is the penultimate day of baseball in the regular season in the Mat-Su in the books. The Miners have one more doubleheader against the Chinooks coming up tomorrow with games at 4 and 6. But before that, don't go anywhere. We'll have the post-game interviews coming up right after this. For then, though, with Rocco Bernardino, I've been Charlie Fellows saying take care. welcome back, Miners fans. Thank you to all of you who stuck around. As promised, here is head coach Ty LeBrun of the Mat-Su Miners. And Ty, it's another lopsided finish at the hands of the Anchorage Bucs. What are some takeaways from this game that you're going to use if these two teams do meet again this season?
We got to throw. We got to get ahead early in the count. I don't think we did that with our through the first 4 or 5 innings. We were behind a lot of guys, walking a lot of guys, hitting a lot of guys, and that they just capitalized on it. I love the fight from our offense, man. I'm going to tell them that when I go in the clubhouses. They never gave up, even down 13 or 10, whatever we were at one point, and I commend them for that. We didn't pick it great, but that's hard to do. You kind of get flat on your heels when the pitching isn't efficient, and I think that's where we really struggled tonight.
The bullpen after that 4th inning was excellent, until Kyle McCausland comes into the game as in mop-up duty. He did pretty good, all things considered, too. But the bullpen definitely helped stop the bleeding a bit and gave the team a chance to get back into it. How important have they been to keeping the team in games this season?
Ben and Ryan have been tremendous all year. I mean, the only reason they threw today is because it was kind of their tune-up day for Saturday to get them locked and loaded for the playoffs. But it was good to see those two come out and do that. And you see the results when you fill up the zone and throwing your secondary stuff for strikes. You're going to be successful. So they've been huge all year, those two. And Luke Smith's been huge for us. He looked good tonight. Kennan's been really big out of the pen. Murph's been good too. We just got to keep filling up the zone.
So you got a doubleheader against the Chinooks today, but I'm sure everybody on the team is looking further ahead to that. The Miners are locked into the 2 seed, Oilers at 3. Of course, those two teams have had a bit of history so far this season. So what kind of keys are you looking to take into that series?
I'd like to play well tomorrow. I'd like to take some positivity from today on our offensive side and try to put together a win or two tomorrow. I'm not sure if we're playing game 2, if it matters or not, but again, I just like to go in with a little bit of good momentum, strong momentum from a pitching side and an offensive side. And then it's going to be a battle with the Oilers. They got a great club, man. They play good baseball. Sure, we're going to see Cody New in game 1, and he's pretty good from the left side. So once we get past tomorrow night, we'll get ready for Saturday.
All right, thanks so much, Coach.
Yep.
That has been head coach Ty LeBrun, everybody, and this has been another day of Mat-Su Miners baseball. As you heard before, we may not be playing Game 2 because the Chugiak Eagle River Chinooks have something to play for, but if they lose, they officially are eliminated from playoff contention, and Game 2 would be meaningless in that instance, but that doubleheader will still start at 4 p.m. Alaska Daylight Time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You do the conversions from there. Hope to see you then. Same place, same YouTube channel. Until then, though, with Rocco Bernardina, head coach Ty LeBrun, I've been Charlie Fellows, saying so long.